All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Hopefully, you guys are having a fantastic day today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Fortnite Battle Royale live stream. Hopefully, you guys are having a fantastic day today. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully, notifications are going to go out for the stream. I'm hoping we won't get lagged behind with, you know, of course, notifications not going out. Usually, they have got out in the past year on Twitch. Adam is the very first person in here on the Twitch stream. Appreciate that. Hector, Coyote, Rage, Erd, Ryu, and Nathan. Welcome to the YouTube stream. Yo, Savage Clasher. We got my Savage Clasher, Greg Colley, Coyote. Welcome to the stream as well. We got Lando, Man Glory. Yo, welcome everybody to the YouTube stream. Appreciate you guys all coming out. Welcome, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yo, Savage, you got to chill with the spam there a little bit, my man. You got to chill with the spam there a little bit. All right, bro. Hey, what's up, son? What's up, Pedro? Welcome to the stream. Hey, what's up, Snow? How you doing today, Car Beast? What's up, God Family? Team Anime, welcome to the stream. How you doing today, Freeze? What's up, Will? What's up, Dakota and Josh? Welcome to the stream, guys. Hopefully you're all having a fantastic day today. Welcome, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're back with some more Fortnite Battle Royale. How you doing, Coyote? I'm doing pretty great, man. I'm doing pretty great. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you guys all coming out. Let's go ahead and get a solo going on here. Vontae, welcome to the stream. Ladies and gentlemen, we streamed some Fortnite earlier today, and I'm going to be honest with you guys when I say that I think we had 4 or 5 top 10 finishes that did not turn into wins. So I'm hoping to have slightly better luck today. Or for this second Fortnite stream here today, that I really hope you guys will enjoy. What's up, Rumbling Jeremiah Javoa? Yes, I am live on YouTube, my man. Can't wait till this chat dies. Yeah, we just gotta wait for the spam at the beginning to die down a little bit, then it's a lot easier to read. But why you do Fortnite and not COD? Because I'm literally in love with Fortnite, man. And I like to spice things up. Like, I like to do zombies, but I also like to do Fortnite, you know? It's always nice to do a little bit of variety, I think. I think that's important for a channel's growth, you know? You do one thing for so long, it's kind of nice to spice it up a little bit, start to grow an audience on a different game, you know what I'm saying? What's up, Chris Max? What's up, Sayem? Hey, I'm on the PC right now, guys, for those of you who are curious. What's up, Isaiah Wiggins? How you doing today, YY? What's up, Mike? Hey, yo, Solution. What's good, my man? Welcome to the stream, brother. Matt Grossman, what's up, bud? Play with Maddie? Josh Smith says plays with Maddie. Is she even on right now? Da-da. Da-da. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na. How do I like my new apartment? Okay, yeah, so well, it's not confirmed yet, but I'm really glad you brought that up. For those of you guys who don't know, the reason I had to take a break and end the stream from earlier today, earlier than what I usually do for live streams, is because I was going to look at an apartment. I was going to look at a potential apartment that I was going to live in. It was one of the places that I had saved. I thought it looked really, really nice. And you know, it's always one of those things that surprises me. You get there, and the place isn't ever really as nice as it looks in the pictures. I looked at the place, wasn't really for me. And I can tell that for a couple of reasons. One, I'm going to be live streaming at like obnoxious hours, right? A lot of the time I like to live stream later in the night. Yo, Jake the Snake, thank you very much for your 5, man. I appreciate that. I'm sorry, I was in the middle of talking about something. But Jake the Snake, thank you so much for the dono, my man. I appreciate that. Can we get a Jake spam in the chat? Show Jake some love. I would really appreciate it. Look at the place. And so, yeah, the noise level would be obnoxious because it's an apartment style. So literally another, you know, family would be living in the floor beneath me. And it would be terrible because I'd be loud and obnoxious, and they'd have to deal with me and listening to me. So it sucks, but I think I'm gonna have to raise up my budget a little bit to try to find like a house or something. I'm gonna have to try to find a house because there's no other situation. Like, I can't really live in an apartment where I have units living around me, right? If there's somebody else living on the other side of that wall, I can't do what I do. You know what I'm saying? Because people will they'll get way too pissed off at me. Like, I'll be too loud, and that's, you know, I'm not doing it. I'm not being loud to be obnoxious to them. It's just because I stream and I make videos and I'm here communicating with you guys, and so like I would need a space where I would not have to worry about volume, you know, which would require me to pay a little bit more, you know. That's the thing. That's the price you got to pay. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, there definitely is a possibility of me, like, finding a place with some friends. But I think for right now, I'm going to have to try to find a place for myself. Yo, you love my channel, man. I love you, brother. Jake the Snake with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. Yo, can we get a Jake spam in the chat, ladies and gentlemen? Yo, 2 medkits right off the bat. Jake, if that's not because of your donations, then I don't know what is, my man. Jake, thank you so much for those donos, brother. I really do appreciate that. $10, man. Sheesh. Man's very generous. All right. Back-to-back burst ARs. Not a fan of that. I thought I could make that jump. I really did. I guess I had more confidence in myself than I should have. Ooh, thought I was going to fall off. How much you guys want to bet these right in there? Ooh. Always hurt, boys. He put a trap. Look at that. Look at that. I almost fell for it, too. I almost fell for it. Where did this go? Yo, oh, holy crap, Jolly Child.
Only Dono today, sorry bro, haha.
Jolly Child. What? Bruh, I just got melted. Holy Jesus. But thank you very much, Jolly. And then, holy crap, Jolly Child comes in with a 20. Says, I'm back. Only Dono for today. Sorry, brother. Thank you so much for the 20, man. Jolly Child, thank you so much, dude. That's insane. Really do appreciate the generosity. And Jake comes in with a $20 super chat. The man dropped a 5 and then a 10 and then a 20. What's next to 50? Nah, for real, man. Jake, you're insane, bro. Relax. Relax a little bit. What's up, Xander? First game of the day, guys. You got, well, not first game of the day, but first game of the stream. You guys always know is a little bit of a struggle. I honestly thought in the back of my mind, I'm like, bro, I'm so good. I just outplayed this guy. He thought I was going to run right into the trap, go around back. I'm like, I'm going to flank this guy. Nope. Alexander, you just finished your homework, man. You are here, bro. The stream has literally just started. You are good. We're less than 7 minutes into the stream. You guys are awesome. If you guys are here and you're enjoying the live stream, you guys know what to do. Drop a like. Already almost 400 or 450 people in here, roughly. A little less than that. 400 people in here. 400 people in here. Where's the new map? New map is dropping like... So the way Fortnite does updates in really, really weird ways, they never explicitly say, they're not like Call of Duty, right? They don't like explicitly state when new updates are going to drop. I'm pretty sure new updates are going to drop sometime early tomorrow morning. So around like maybe as early as 4 or 5 a.m. Eastern time. When that happens, I do plan on being live. Like I want you guys to know, I do plan on being live early in the morning to stream the new update for you guys and to stream it for a very long time. Because this new update is going to be massive. What's up, Emily? Welcome to the stream. Marsbag, you have 3 wins today, dude? Damn. Yeah, I was not doing too hot earlier today, but I gotta... Hopefully I can do well here. Yo, what's up, Jace? How you doing today, man? Baba Ops, welcome to the stream. Yeah, this song is pretty chill, actually. This song's pretty nice. No Christmas stuff? Yeah, so the Christmas event actually ends. The holiday event ends tomorrow. So when they release the new map update tomorrow, all the Christmas stuff's going to go away. So we're going to go back to regular bushes, the regular grenade launcher. We're not going to have Christmas trees anymore. They're just going to be regular big trees.
Hello, can you PLS dab?
Y'all lame, man. Panda Luke donates 10 bucks and said, can you please dab? Panda Luke, only because you've dropped a $200, no, it was a $100 donation in my stream before. I will give you a nice rock. Nice rock dab right there for you, man. Thank you very much for your donation. You guys can go ahead and type cringe all you want in the chat. I just dabbed for 10 bucks. You guys tell me you can go and dab for $10. And then you guys let me know if that's worth it or not. I hate burst ARs, guys. I'm going to put it right off the bat. But yo, Panda Luke, thank you so much for your dono, man. I seriously appreciate that, brother. Cringe. Guys, he just dabbed. Can we get a cringe? So cringy. How do I poop? I poop in the toilet. What do you mean, how do I poop? What kind of a question is that? Trenton North, thank you very much for the 333, man.
Dude, I can't be slamming the donations. I go to chill, so I'm only gonna be a sponsor on the 30th.
Wait, what did you say? You said you're going through chills? Is that what this man just said? Okay, we know there was at least one other guy that landed around here. I'm guessing he knows roughly where we are. Is he on the roof too? No, he's definitely not. He's down there somewhere, man. I just can't see him. We're gonna get him. But yo, Trenton North, thank you very much for the 333, man. And I look forward to your responsor, brother. Okay. One more nice whack there, Henis. Huh. He's right here, right? Nope. Oh! Oh! Thank God he missed. That was an awkward gunfight, not gonna lie. Oh! Okay. No traps? Alright, we got lucky. Not luck. Skill, am I right? Feeling fresh, feeling good. Blue AR, yes please. I'm actually gonna take that right there. Oh, we can't put that on, Henis. You want to know why? Because you already got 50 shield. Yo, what's up, Isaiah Wiggins? How you doing today, my man? They loot this, you guys reckon? Always gotta pay attention for those traps, man. Those have killed me way too much recently, to the point where it just scares me now. This is why I have trust issues. Actually, wait a minute. Just gonna do that. Dude, all this free wood around here is so nice. I love the amount of wood that drops. What's up, Firebird? How you doing today, man? But yeah, if you guys are enjoying the stream, definitely make sure you drop a like. Let's get a Trenton spam in the chat, by the way, guys. I would appreciate it. Wait, do I want to go that way? Or I want to go this way? Oh, I want to... I want to go this way. What's up, Reapers? How you doing today, buddy? But yo, the donations, guys, already today has been insane. What's up, Derek? Hello, Kevin HD Real. How are you? What a name. Kevin HD Real. In case there was any misconceptions that this was the fake Kevin HD. Baba Ops. The man, the myth, the legend.
Last stream for a while.
Oh.
Reason is on Twitter, but why would you care? Personal stuff. Goodbye, man. Frown.
Wait, goodbye? Baba Ops. But. Nah, but for real, bro. Yo, hopefully everything's alright, man. Yo, sick job, Henis. Sick job. Sick job. If you die, I will laugh. Oh, no, it didn't. Okay. You got a sniper. Haha! How is that not landing right on you, man? God, I hate this guy. This is an awkward gunfight already. Should have built. First time watching this. What's up, Raul? How you doing today, man? I gotta start playing. I gotta play better. I gotta put myself in better situations. Baba Ops, thank you so much for the $1. I appreciate that, man. I love this song. Absolutely love this song. That was a hard gunfight. He had the advantage on me. He got first shot. That was rough. My biggest pitfall right there in the middle of that gunfight easily was my horrible building. Horrible building is definitely what put me in that situation. If I had built better, I should have just built ramps up to him. All right, this next game, I'm feeling it. Can't you talk on pregame lobby? I saw a tweet. Hello. Hello. Can you now do that? Or is that going to be in the new update? Possibly. I would honestly, to be honest with you, I've kind of gone back and forth about the idea of whether or not I would like chat in this game. Like a public chat. Like, you know, just to like talk in Battle Royale. I don't know. I don't know if I would like that. Because you guys know how, like, when it happens in games like H1, I don't know, it just makes the game completely toxic. You get killed by somebody, and they rip on you, man. They're always so mean and so rude. I don't know. It might affect their ability to actually rate the game, actually, if there's, like, a public chat. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I'm pretty sure that's worked for some other games, but, like, I don't think I would like it, to be honest with you. I think it would make the game less fun. That's just me personally, though. What do you hope for besides chat in the new update? What would I hope for? I really hope the new POIs are dope. Like, obviously, the POIs are the biggest thing, right? The POIs are the biggest thing. One thing that I really hope they don't screw up, though, is the lighting. And I think I'm kind of worried about that a little bit. Because they mentioned how they're, like, splitting everything into different biomes now, right? They're making it, like, you know, there's more easily defined sort of biomes in the map, essentially, right? I don't know if I would like that. If that affects the lighting or my ability to see people, or if slight differences in coloration affect my ability to spot people now, it's just gonna piss me off. But that's one of the things that always pissed me off about like a game like PUBG. Like, I'm not blind, right? But like when I look at like when I watch like PUBG or H1, I'm always like more so PUBG. I'm more so astounded. Like, how do you even see the people that are shooting at you? Like, how do you spot them? I don't get it. They need to fix the auto spin on the bus. What do you mean the auto spin? What does that mean? Dude, there's something like right on the other side of my nose right there. I'm not picking my nose, chat, for the record. ProBot isn't working? ProBot should be working, guys. If you type exclamation point coins in the chat, the bot should tell you how many coins you have. We got a couple chests right here. You know what? I never land here, dude. I never land here. We got a tack also right down there. I'm going to loot this. What do we got? First AR? That's honestly not bad. I'll take that. Especially right off the rip. Take a pump shotty, too. You guys think a guy landed right above me? If he did, I'm going to be pissed. Is here a guy? I could have sworn I legit just heard a guy. I've never landed on top of that mountain before. That might be the secret to success in Fortnite. Am I going to play COD? I don't know. I don't think I'll be playing any COD tonight, guys, but I will upload a stream highlight for you guys. I have a couple of really dope zombies gameplays that some of you guys may have seen, some of you guys may have not seen. But those will be going up on my channel tonight. ProBot's not working? All right. I'll have to restart it then. Yes, please. That's a door, Henis. You can just open it right up. I knew that. Alright, I'm gonna go to factory. There was already somebody here. At least one person. What's up, Alex Shorter? How you doing today, my man? There we go. Guy right here. If he comes out mid, that's gonna be so perfect. Right there. Apparently not. What are the chances that you get 2 green tacks in the same area? He's gonna be so confused now, boy. Whippy Kaye. Nope. And then, yeah, I guess we'll keep that. And then I guess give me those. Only 3? That's all right. Actually, we'll take it. Let's see what this guy had, too. All right, we're doing pretty good. Is that a sniper? Like that. Looks like it's only a semi, though. But there's some guys at Dusty Depot as well. Oh, that guy still didn't even loot that chest up there. What the hell? Spent all this time getting up there. Didn't even loot it? Are you freaking kidding me, my guy? I'm just gonna go up his ramp. I'm not gonna waste any building material. Take the long way around. What's up, Erica? How you doing today, man? Or a girl? Probably a girl. Gotta stop saying that. People are gonna start getting triggered. Oh. Might be really pissed if I get sniped right now. Okay, I think they're over here. I think that's where I just saw him. Henis, how are you? Yo, Matt, I'm doing pretty great, bro. Doing pretty great, my man. Yeah, here he is. Over here. You just keep running? No, dude. You're supposed to fight me. Oh, how close was that last shot to his head, man? Come on. This guy's a scar. What? Oh, yep. Now. Okay, yep. Where'd he go? Wait, where is he? He's right on the other side of the tree. You gotta be kidding me, dude. Whew. Who was that voice that said now? That was my sister. Actually, yeah, give me one quick second. I guess I gotta respond to something. So my dad conveniently texts me right now what I want for food. And I have to respond while there's people around me. Come on. Listen out for me, chat. And a strawberry vanilla shake. Okay. Yeah, I know there's a scar, guys. I understand. It's like all the loot seriously underneath there. Oh, we could just crawl right underneath it, Henis. I don't know why you're being so stingy about it. Okay. We're good. Get the scar? Yeah, we're good. And I got my order placed. Thank the Lord. Chinese? Nah, it's burger. Even better. Drink it. God damn it. What's up, Hasten? How you doing today, man? I want steak, bro. I mentioned earlier today to my dad. Or was it yet? No, it was yesterday. I was like, hey, I could really go for a steak. Like, sometime soon. And he was like, yo, dude, I'm so down. I was like, really? He's like, hell yeah. I feel like I haven't had a steak in forever. But steaks are like, they're magical, you know? Thank the Lord. Wait a minute. Where was that from, do you guys think? Horrible shot, Henis. Horrible shot. Come on. Shot coming from all the way over there, you guys think? I honestly don't know. We gotta move to the new safe zone anyways, though. Doesn't really matter. What's up, Sandbox? Yo, Super, you said you sent a $500 donation? I highly doubt that, dude. But hey, if you did, thank you so much for your donation. I really appreciate it. Was there an RPG back there? I'm not gonna go over the RPG. Come on, dude. Can you just peek out for me real quick? Way too high, Henis. Come on, bro. I'm gonna get sniped. I'm gonna get sniped. I'm gonna get sniped. God, I'm playing so bad right now. Please peek that. Please peek up. Please peek up. Please peek up. I have to go to that guy. That's probably why he's sitting there. Yes. Open up the damn door. Let's go. Oh, sheesh. Never mind, I didn't have to go to that guy. I gotta go this way. I knew that. Okay, we're good. What's up, Greenosaurus? How you doing today, bud? Henis, do Fortnite dances in real life? While I'm on it, can I go ahead and do a win a Fortnite game while sitting on the toilet? Can I also do a I don't even know what else I would do. Honestly. Anything else Allier's uploaded. By the way, like, honestly, no point in calling out Allier, because he's a great guy, I'm sure. Probably a really nice guy in real life. You know. Probably a super dope dude. But did you guys see the video he uploaded today? You just kind of... Well, yeah, I felt like it was a little bit of a low for Allier. Like, he clickbaits, right? He clickbait. All YouTubers clickbait. I clickbait. Clickbait's a part of life. But he uploaded the video today titled New Kill Record in Fortnite Battle Royale. Implying that, you know, there's some sort of brand new kill record in this game for solo. Because he plays solos, right? And there was no new kill record. With a little bit of deductive reasoning, it was his own personal new kill record. He got 17 kills in a solo, which is like, it's good. But it ain't the record. Okay. Apparently, I can't... That is so devastating, bro. It's because he had the pump. It's because he had the pump. He had 9 HP. He had 9 HP. That sucks. RIP's in the chat. Dude, we will win a game today. I'm telling you. How many people? What place was that? What was that? 7 kills, I think? Something like that, roughly. What's the record? What's the record for solo? I have no idea, man. Can we get a 9 spam in the chat for 9 HP? You had 22 kills one game? Damn, yeah. Henis, who's your favorite baseball team? Yours is the Cubs. New York Yankees fan at heart, man. I'm sorry. I gotta be a Yankees fan. When's their first game? Are you mad? Oh, I'm so triggered, dude. I'll donate if you win. All right, Trenton, you said you donate if I win, bro. I'm gonna hold that. I'm gonna hold you to that, all right? Yo, Hasten, I don't answer that question, man. Like, specifics as to where I live. I'll tell you guys what state I live in. I'm not gonna tell you guys what part of the state I live in, though. Just like... You guys shouldn't need to care that much about, like, where exactly I live. I'm not trying to, like, you know, just for privacy reasons. Just a respectful thing, you know? But I am from Maine. What's up, Final Exotic? How you doing today, buddy? What's up, Daniel? Do I have a PS4? Yes, I do have a PS4. But I never play on it, though, to be honest with you. Can you play 60 seconds? What's 60 seconds? I have no idea what that even is. Yeet. I'm gonna pass out. You answer me? Yeah. I'm flattered. Truly. What's up, Jeremiah? Is it freezing in Maine? It's pretty cold. It's pretty cold, not gonna lie. Where I am right now, it's 28 degrees outside, so it's below the freezing point, but... What's my top kill round? My highest kill game, I think, is like a 16. I think it's a 16. It's nothing special. Remember Milking Cow? I do, Donut Man. Yeah, that video is actually going to go up on my channel tomorrow. I tried to upload it today, and it didn't go well. Actually, I don't even know if I want to upload it tomorrow, because tomorrow is when the new Fortnite update's dropping. So I kind of want to reserve that whole day for, like, purely Fortnite content, you know? What's up, Danny Boy Films? What's up, Jay? How you doing today? What time is the new map? I don't think anybody even knows exactly what time the new map is dropping, unfortunately. I think all we know is that it's dropping tomorrow. From past, we know that, you know, sometimes the updates drop around like 8 a.m. Eastern time. Sometimes they even drop earlier than that, like around 4 a.m. Eastern time. It's really hard to tell. So my plan is, though, whenever the update does drop, I plan on being awake and I plan on being ready to stream. So if you guys want to make sure you're here for that stream, tap the bell icon below the video player, screenshot that, tweet it at me on Twitter at ProHenis, and I will follow every single one of you guys back that tweet me proof that you have notifications on for the channel. And then we can DM about life or anything or Fortnite or anything. It's the beauty of it, man. All right, I'm gonna go to this house if you ain't, my guy. Wait, what? Wait, what? Bruh. I'll take that. I'll take a double pump. Even though I'm horrible with it, I will take it. Why am I not running? Oh no, dude. This feels like one of those. Okay, well, if I'm going to be running with a pump, might as well be running with a green one. Okay. Freaking absolutely annihilated. You know what it honestly makes me want to do? Stop, dude. What's up? It's a Turner. How you doing today, man? Freaking serious, man. Ow. Oh my god, dude. I hate the shotgun fights. Man, how much HP did you have? Tell me how much HP you had. You had 10 HP. He's gonna die right there, too. Dude! Dude! Alright, rip in the chat. We gotta concentrate. I gotta land at a place that's not as high octane, I guess. I guess I'm just getting off these horrible starts. What's up, Shelly? What's up, Guy? What's up, Brianna? Welcome to the stream. What's good, Apex? What's up, King Bangs? Yo, guys, thank you very much for already 300 likes in the stream. You guys are dope. Am I going to go live Friday? I do plan on live streaming Friday. Yeah, absolutely. I try to live stream every single day. Land Greasy Grove? All right, I just saw 2 people say land Greasy Grove. So I'm going to land Greasy Grove for you guys, all right? Shout out, please. What's up, Braden? Braden, welcome to the stream, man. All right, yeah, so you know what I do? I'm going to let you guys pick from this point on where we land, all right? Let you guys pick from this point on where we land. Why do you constantly switch your guns when you're running? It just helps keep my fingers warm. Let's keep my fingers loose. That was awkward. Yes, Allison, I do have a PS4. I never really played it, though. ProBot isn't working, that's right. Greasy Grove, really, chat? You choose Greasy Grove when it's there. Alright, guys, I just reconnected the bot, so it should be working now. You guys call Greasy Grove the one high octane spot. In the new update, they should have cars. I disagree, man. I disagree. Alright, a lot of people gonna be biased, guys. What's up, Rich Gaming? How you doing today, my man? We might be in for a rough one, chat. Greasy just for me. I got you, Ben. Henis, you chose the worst route to get to that ammo crate. Oh my god. What's up, Allison? How you doing today? Actually, only one of these. Never mind. Drop that. You had a full shield too. It's unfortunate for that guy. What's up, Nick? How you doing today, my man? Welcome to the stream. Didn't we have a... Wait a minute. Didn't we have a blue AR? That would have been MLG if I got that kill. I don't remember having a blue AR for some reason. He ran more that way, right? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Run, Henis! Where is he, on the roof? I think so. Sick throw, Henis. Honestly, sick throw. I don't like that chimney right there. Come on, bro. Thank God, man. Holy Jesus. That was a really, really long gunfight. Well fought, though. Well fought. GG's. It was the house over, wasn't it? Pretty sure it was this house down here. Oh my God, bro. I hate that you can't build over trees like that. That's so aggravating. Told you Greasy was a good idea? Yeah, for right now, it's a good idea, man. I should play Paragon? The blue ARs from last game? Okay, yeah, I'm just tripping then. 4 kills. Not too shabby. What's up, Vince? How you doing today, my man? I'm convinced there might still be another person here. At least one other person. I don't really know what to take for another slot, though, because I don't want to leave that slot empty, really. If I can fit another weapon in there, I might as well. We're in the safe zone. I don't know if anybody actually went into hunting. I'm going to go in there. Bot still isn't working? Yeah, I don't know then, guys, to be honest with you. If it's still not working. Yep. Oh, God. Henis. You little twat. Oh my God, that made me jump in my seat, bro. My eyes went wide as hell, and then I had out a... Did I have out an AR? Was I ARing him? It was so awkward, bro. God damn it. Thank God he was absolute trash. Thank God I'm better than absolute... Only slightly, very small percentage better than absolute trash in comparison to that guy. Wow, okay. A little bit of a wake-up call. Always got to be on your toes. Bro, I thought I had out a shotgun, so I hip fire. I'm hip fire shooting with what I think... With what I think is a shotgun. And it's an AR, so that happened. Sick. Christmas trees have probably already been looted, but let's take a quick gander. Yeah, they're looted. Alright. Let's make our way the hell out of here then. This place is officially cursed. Am I going to do zombies tonight? I'll public a zombie video for you guys tonight, but I don't think I'm actually going to be playing zombies tonight for you guys live, unfortunately. Is that just a guy on the roof I just saw? I swear to the Lord. Oh, I think we're good. Alright, I just heard a drop over here too. It's very tempting to go for that. So either really, really far out, or it's behind a tree or something. What's up, Juan B? How you doing today, man? Was I ARing him? Oh, there's a guy right over there. Just going up to that massive tower. What the hell? What's popping up there, man? He is literally all the way up there. Wish we had slightly better loot. There's 20 people left. We've got 5 kills. Alright, he's building up. He's building a little something there. Come on, man. Such a freaking loser. I have 1 HP. Should have gotten closer, would have been easier, yeah. Oh wait, he's dead. He killed him. I'm dead. Of course, it didn't make a door, dude. Oh, How wide were my eyes there on a scale of 1 to 10? Show us the dailies at 7? What do you mean show us the dailies at 7? Shoot! I didn't realize he was that close. He had a scar, too. God damn. What's up, Callum? What's up, Michael? All right, where are we headed now, guys? I want some predictions in the chat. What's up, Ice Dragon? I don't want some predictions. I want some ideas, some suggestions. Where are we headed? And the place that I see put in the chat the most will be the place that I go to land at, all right? What's up, Joshua? Welcome to the stream. What's up, Callum? Pleasant? What's up, Alexander? What's up, Marcellus? What's up, Matthias? Do I have a cringy dab? Everybody's got a cringy dab, dude. Everybody screams cringy. The Forest, Moisty, Meyer, Moisty, Loot Lake, Dusty, Dusty, Pleasant, Anarchy, Dusty, Loot Lake, Dusty, Anarchy, Fatal, Flush, Factory, Anarchy, Retail, Factory. I think Moisty was one of the most popular ones. But I really don't want to go to Moisty, I'm going to be honest with you. Fatal was also really popular. I'll go to Fatal. And so is Dusty. I hate going to Dusty. Fatal was also very popular. Pleasant was also another popular one. I saw Fatal a lot, though. We're going to go to Fatal. Notice how we jumped right out of the bus right as the beat dropped. That was dope. Love your videos. Appreciate it, Mario. Appreciate it, man. Yo, officially Dustin, thank you so much for the subscription, man. If you guys are new to the channel, when you subscribe, you're going to see your names pop up in the lower right-hand corner. Right above the link to, right above the notification that you can download Fortnite using the link in the description. USG Ryan says go to Tilted Towers. Good idea, bro. The scoped AR is one of the things they're making improvements to, I'm pretty sure. Notice how they came through that door. God. Notice how he came through that door before the door even opened up? Anybody else notice that? The door wasn't even opened. Holy God, man. They're putting better scopes on him? Yeah, that's what I've heard too. We're gonna need more ammo in this real quick. Gotta be kidding me, dude. He's so weak in there. It's not even funny. Question was, where did he kill that other guy? Right here, I guess. It looks like that's already been looted. Wish we had more shotgun shells, that's for sure. Alright, Savage Clasher, you gotta stop that, bro. You were spamming earlier too, man. You can't be doing stuff like that, bro. I'll make sure there's nobody else in here. But Savage, you can't be spamming like that, man, for real. Like, I know you want me to play zombies, bro, but I'm playing Fortnite right now, alright? If you're here for zombies, you can just leave, because I'm not gonna be doing any zombies tonight. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying. It's just not happening. What's up, Jacob? I shouldn't really have to defend myself either on what I'm doing on my own channel. It's just like, of course I want to like entertain you guys, but I'm not gonna play a game I don't want to play, you know? Just seems stupid. Tell me how the Christmas tree went untouched. What the hell? Ooh, that's very, very tempting. Let's head over here. Ooh. Nothing, man. Nothing. Alright, I guess we'll just head this way then. What's a good Bryson? How you doing today, buddy? What's up, Sloth? Oh, you're saying show us the dailies at 7, like show you the new daily items. I got you, bro. That's what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. They are going to be coming out with new daily items in about 30 minutes. Neato. Hopefully they're good items. Great stream. I appreciate it, Landon. Thank you, man. Gotta be ready to boogie bomb somebody. That's gonna be most beneficial because we got a pump and I'm just not comfortable with the pump, so hopefully that'll give me more time to take the shot. Okay, never mind. Guess it won't matter. So, what's up, your boy? How you doing today? We. Welcome to the stream, man. I like your name. Yo, guys, thank you very much for all the subscribers, all the new subscribers right now. Thank you very much for all the likes as well. Do I have an Xbox One? I do not, no. I've only got I've got a PS4 and a PC. That's it. Those are the two big ones that I play on. I play on PC though for Fortnite. I do not play at all on the PS4. I like keyboard and mouse a lot more. It's just more natural to me. It's what I always played with. It's just so much smoother too. What's up, Alex? Actually, wait a minute. Wait, whoa. I guess we'll do that. I'm caving. There's two of them. They're too nice. I don't want to leave them for somebody else. I hate getting boogie bombed. Yo, Eli O'Shields, what's up, man? Am I ever gonna get back to Black Ops 3? I don't. Well, I mean, I still do Black Ops 3 zombies, but probably not Black Ops 3 multiplayer at all. I think I'm kind of past that phase of my channel, just because that game's been done, you know? Wait, whoa, what the frick? Thank you. Alright. I gotta kind of evaluate here how I want to do this. What's up, Chandler? How you doing today, man? That's not all that guy could have been packing. He had to have had a lot more. Yeah, blew everything. Yeesh. Oh, man. Okay. I'm pretty sure there's still a guy back there, but I don't know where he is now. He wasn't shooting at me anymore. Meant to jump there, but I didn't. What's up, Zaven? How you doing today, man? Oh, you had a slurp? Oh, shoot. I missed it. My bad. It's all good. Should be fine. Hopefully we'll be fine. Where's that guy? You should not have moved it all, man. I had no idea you were there. You had me fooled. The hell, Henis? Sorry, guys. I went quiet there. My bad. Just concentrating. You know the drill. Oh, awesome. Oh, I thought I killed you. Not gonna lie. Oh, yes, please. There's only 2 of them left. Well, that's not what I meant to do. Wait a minute. Might as well heal up. Ah, nearly time for the update? Nah, the update's not coming out till tomorrow, guys. I'm pretty sure, right? We still got time. Still got oodles of time before the update there. Whoa. Wait a second there, chat. Aha! Yar har diddly dee, hum diddy dum diddy doo. Let's go make this guy's day. What's up, David Enris? How you doing today, my man? 1, 2, skip to my loot. I don't know where he is. Come on, man. You gotta be freaking kidding me, bro. What's up, Griff? How you doing today, my man? You don't want to do that. I can't go back and get that other guy's med kit. Do you have any bandages? Yes, you do. Any med kit, though? Oh! Ah! We can't go back and get the med kit, unfortunately. It's too far away. That just gave us 999 wood. I like that. Oof. That was a good fight, senor. Good fight. All of you guys are saying get the RPG. I don't agree with you, but I'll take it. No medkit from this guy, though. Probably a dude in here. Yippee-ki-yay. Okay. What's up, Jeff? How you doing today? Do zombies? Nah, we're not gonna be doing zombies right now, guys. We're doing too good right now. Yes, one by the campfire. Oh, wait a minute. Try that again. One smooth motion. Hello, señor. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, gracias, ¿y tú? 14 kills, not too shabby. GG's in the chat, man. Let's get it. We fat-fingered a couple things there when putting down the jump pad, but we still got it. First win of the stream. That's what I'm talking about. It only took us like 5 games, 6 games to get a kill. But was that 14 kills? Not too bad. I will take that. Estoy muy bien. GG's. GG's in the chat, guys. Let's get some proGGGs. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe as well. When you guys subscribe to the channel, you will see your name up here in the lower right-hand corner. It'll pop up for a solid 10 seconds. You'll also see that live sub count in the lower left-hand corner go up by 1 as well. I really do appreciate all the support. You guys are amazing. Whew. Less than 60 likes away, too, from 500 likes. Smack that like button if you guys haven't done so already. I'd really appreciate it. Let's go for back-to-back wins. Let's go for back-to-back wins. Honestly, my initial thought was there, hey, we're going to pull out the sniper. We're going to snipe this guy right in the skull. And then I'm like, nah, we're going for first one of the day. How embarrassing would it be if I choke this right now? Let's just take the RPG, and we'll just do our best to solidify ourselves a win. So that's what we did. That made a little more sense. Hey, what's up, Steven? How you doing, man? Steven Palladino. Whoa. And it's 1 out of 10. How much do you like Fortnite? There's definitely some things I don't like about it. I'd give it like 9.5 maybe. What time is the update dropping tomorrow? Nobody knows, my good sir. Nobody knows. That is the mystery of the update. We don't know. Judging from how Fortnite's behaved in the past, that we can only guess that maybe they'll release the update sometime as early as 8 a.m. Eastern time. Sometimes even earlier than that. Maybe even like 4 a.m. Eastern time. You know, so they release the updates pretty early, which I don't know why they do that. I'm gonna go all the way to factory though. What's up, soccer? Yo, what's up, Dan TDM, the fake one? Why is the battle bus still Christmas themed? They're gonna keep the Christmas event is officially gonna end tomorrow, guys. So it officially ends tomorrow with the new update, with the new map, with the new layout and everything. All that Christmas stuff goes away. There's already shots going off. There's already sniper shots in this game. I was really hoping you were going to fall off. Henis, did you not pick up the Magnum? Ooh. There's a guy that landed over there, too. God, I really don't like the loot system in this game. Picking up loot, man? Oh, God. Okay. What's up, Something Spicy? How you doing today, man? Must have hit the railing. I saw your window challenge and decided to support. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy the content. How are you? Yo, Aiden. I'm doing pretty great, man. How many shots are you gonna take, my guy? Like, hello? You know, if we're forced to take a burst, might as well make it a green one, right? Long time no see. Yo, play with me. What's good? Welcome back to the stream. Had to make sure, chat. Had to make sure. Always gotta make sure there's no traps. What's up, Dread Gang? How you doing today? Play with me. Good thing there's wood up there, Henis. To replace the wood you're wasting right now. Alright, let's head to Salty Spring. How you doing today, soccer boy? Yo, Deer Slayer.
Everyone donate to him so he can buy an Xbox One. Also, Henis, I haven't seen you good at building a snowman and fighting it. If you get enough $, buy an Xbox One.
Hold on one second, man. I'll respond to that donation here in just a second. couple things there. I don't think I can really appropriately express how pissed I would have been in that situation if I had gotten sniped. So, but yeah, so to answer your question, bro, I don't think there will ever be a video of me fighting a snowman. Really hate to burst your bubble, but I just don't think that's going to happen. Thank you very much for your $11, though. I really do appreciate that. Woo. Got a lot of bandages. What was the other thing I was going to say? And yeah, he asked people to donate me money to buy me an Xbox One. I'm going to be honest with you, dude. Like, I have a PlayStation 4. Like, I own consoles. I just don't play them because I enjoy PCs that much more, you know? It just doesn't make sense for me to buy a console that I won't use. Like, you know? Drop all the way over there. That's tempting. Hello there, good sir. So when I said I didn't think there were any more people here, I lied to you guys to see if you were paying attention. Yo, Kenny, what's good? But you could play PUBG at 15 FPS, that's true. On console, you definitely can. You're missing out. You're definitely missing out if you're not playing on PC. But yo, Kenny, what's up, bud? Welcome to the stream, my man. I heard sniper shots up there. Oh. Oh, that will just not do. I will just not have that. What's up, Dobby? How you doing today, man? What am I dealing with here? Oh. Oh, sick. Just really overshot shots. How do I get down from here without hurting myself? Oh, no. They're all dying. Just need to get right behind this guy. Go kill him. Oh, this guy over there's got a burst. Hee-haw. Yeah, Kenny, I'm down to do duos after this game, man. Absolutely. This man got decapitated. Ooh. Do a video with Ali A? I don't think Ali A knows who I am, man. Unfortunately, this man was over here using a burst and he had a scar? No sympathy for you, good sir. No sympathy whatsoever. Ka-dink! Alright, back-to-back wins here. Let's get it. Hopefully. We pray. Was there a med kit? Yeah. Oh, there was a med kit. We should just apply, shouldn't we? I didn't even really stop to realize that. You're right. I should just apply. Hi, Henis. Love your videos. Keep up the good work. I appreciate that, King. Thank you, man. If you guys are new to the channel, definitely make sure you guys drop a like and drop a sub as well. I'd really appreciate it. When you guys subscribe, you'll see your names pop up right in the lower right-hand corner of the stream. And we'll just build a roof right here. There we go. Play solo and get 20 kills? I've never gotten anywhere close to 20 kills, man. I don't think that works. Okay. You want to edit the roof anyways? That would have been a stupid idea anyways, to edit the roof. What's up, Consuelo? Why do they do that? Why don't they not? I don't know. I will never understand. How do you know how many coins you have? You can type exclamation point coins in the chat, my man. What's up, Jaden? New map drops tomorrow. Are you ready, boy? Oh, dude, I'm so ready, man. I'm actually really, really excited. Like, for those of you guys who don't know, brand new map dropping tomorrow. Brand new points of interest. 10 brand new points of interest, which is incredibly exciting. 22 people left? Yeah, 21 people left now. And we got 7 kills. So a 20 kill is definitely possible. It'd be crazy, but it's possible. Henis the Menace, the master of Fortnite? Nah. Gotta look around. How you doing today, Hunter? Right? Welcome to the stream, my man. Whoa. We just got heavy lag there for a second. Are we good? We didn't drop any frames. Okay. Hopefully that was just server lag. It drops at 9 a.m. Is that when it's dropping? 9 a.m. what time zone? Eastern or Central? Or Pacific? What are coins for? So at the end of every single month, I do giveaways on my channel where you guys use the coins that you've accumulated, simply by watching the stream to enter into those giveaways. So we do giveaways for merch, GFuel. We're going to be doing our very first V-Buck giveaway at the end of this month. We're going to be giving away gift cards, a ton of really awesome stuff. And that happens at the end of every single month. And the way you guys enter, like I said, is by buying an entry using your coins. You can buy as many entries as you have coins. So if an entry costs 25 coins, you can buy as many entries as you can afford. The way you earn coins is simply by watching the stream. Every 10 minutes you guys are watching the stream, you earn 10 coins. Literally as simple as that. That's just a pistol, right? Yep. How much health did that man have? All of it? Like in the world? Holy bejeebus, dude. Just lost all my shield. Feel sad. Oh, what's up, Charlie? How you doing today, man? Gotta get back into the safe zone. Do we know Dewey? I know Dewey, chat. And see, now it's not even possible for a 20 kill gameplay anymore. You spent so long dangling around over here. There's only 9 people left now. Literally 3 people just dropped in a matter of seconds. It's insane, man. Oh, excuse me. What's up, Eugene? Come on, man. Alright. I'll put all my focus. All my focus power. come on, that hurt, dude. You gotta be kidding me. Oh god, Henis, you don't have a snipe? Oh, 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 look what's about to happen to you from behind. Does this dude not know that you're there? Nice shot. Damn it. That was a nice shot on that guy's part. There's literally, look at that. There's a dude literally right behind him and he has no clue. Doesn't hear all the explosions going off. It's like, I'm just gonna build my base over here. And now this dude's gonna spot him and kill him. I could have launched, yeah, that would have been interesting. Probably wouldn't have worked though. The guy seemed too aware. He kind of knew what he was doing. Alright, I think I'm gonna play duos with Kenny here, guys. Let me switch over here. Nope, wrong app. Ha, I just opened up Discord. What's up, Cody? Welcome to the stream, man. No, quit Discord, quit Discord. Whoa, 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 what's going on? What the hell's going on? What's up, Hyper? How you doing today, man? Ha! Ha ha ha! This is funny. That's too funny, man. Hold on one sec. One second, guys. Gotta load up Discord. Scars are great, yeah. Maybe if we had gotten really lucky with a scar headshot there or something, maybe it would have been easier, but I don't know. Hold on. Alright, wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Shoot. Shoot. Where is it? It's the icon. What's up, Nicholas? How you doing today, my man? Okay, right. Obviously, it's your YouTube logo. Got it. Close out of that. I gotta find Kenny's Discord here, guys. Give me a sec. It's here somewhere. It says I've already joined it. There it is. Found it. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Alright, guys, I'm about to play duos with Kenny here. Oh, I don't have permissions. I can't send messages in the channel. Hello? Wait a minute. Can I not talk? Oh, no, I had the wrong input set. There we go. What's up, Kata? You're 20 and still live with your parents? I'm 19. And I...
Whoa!
Whoa!
What's up, man?
What's up, dude?
It turned down a little bit. 19 came rumbling through my ears. Spooked me a little bit. All right, I'm gonna give you a role, so in case you ever have to join back in here, you can join. Okay.
Okay.
Please don't ban everyone.
I'll try not to.
That's all I ask, senor. All right, dude. I don't think I have you added on here, do I?
I don't think so. What's your? Is it
just pro?
Yeah,
mine's
just pro.
Kenworth with 2 H's at the end.
Kenworth.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just sent you one.
All right. Oh no, do you have like a million invites? Where are the P's? There we are. All right, dude.
Let's get it.
Our first duo game.
It's official.
I'll just join your party.
All right. Let's get it.
I'm ready, dude. First game of the day.
Not warmed up at all? You got the Black Knight outfit.
Dude, I haven't played in like 2 days. Yeah, I bought it. Like, I bought the battle pass and I just maxed it out.
Is that worth it?
Not really, no. Well, I mean, if you want the AC/DC pickaxe, but man, it's pretty annoying. So
the only
like worth it.
Massive advantage I saw to getting the battle pass was you get like the 110 XP bonus.
Yeah, well, you're getting a bonus right now from playing with me.
Right.
Like, I think it's like 40 or something % extra.
Right, like I have the battle pass.
So I mean, you don't have an incentive to play with me, but actually you really do. So
yeah.
No more solos for you, buddy.
I only have like an 80% XP boost. And I see all the like every YouTuber who I watch has always got like everyone bought the battle like the full tier battle pass, and I was like, huh.
The real question is, do you have the shovel pickaxe?
No, I didn't. I don't like it.
What?
I don't like it at all.
You literally are wearing a skin with a guy who has a shovel on his back, but you're not using the shovel pick.
That's true.
I'm actually triggered right now.
It just doesn't look right to be whacking something with a shovel and have it break like the way it does.
What do you mean?
It doesn't look right. Like a shovel, you should be digging stuff out of the ground, but like...
What are you using right now? Like the toothpick one or something?
Yeah, like the caveman one or whatever. With the bird's tooth on it. Where do you want to go?
I don't know. Where do you like to land, dude? Do you like to go for action? Do you like to just land random places?
I usually go for action. I usually get landed at POI.
Well, we're going Tomato Town.
Well, let's get it.
All right.
I'm down.
We already kind of passed all the good spots. Yo, you excited for the update tomorrow? You streaming it?
Yeah, I plan to. What time does it drop? Do you have any intel on that?
The server goes down for maintenance at 7 a.m. Eastern, I think, or 9 a.m. One of the AMs. Because like it'll be here probably before noon.
All right.
Depending on what time zone you're in.
Yeah. Because updates have gone out in the past at like 4 a.m. So I was like mentally ready to be up at like 3.
Oh gosh.
To stream.
3 a.m. streaming?
Yeah.
About to pass like 14 million viewers, dude. It's gonna be insane.
Like 50 people, yeah, right.
All right, there's a guy on my roof.
Yeah, there's a couple people here.
Oh man, I have no gun, buddy.
Yeah, I got nothing right now. I'm being chased.
You're being chased?
Yeah.
If there's no gun in here, I'm dead. I got a pistol. All right.
I got an AR. That's it. Got one.
Knocked one.
Oh no!
Shoot! I have no health, buddy. Oh, dude, no.
He's super weak now. He's gonna finish me.
No, I'm dead.
Rip.
There's no way I live through this. That's right, dude.
Usually, like, nobody comes to Tomato Town from what I see. Like I thought
That's
Tomato
insane.
Town.
How many people are up here?
It's like a wasteland.
So what I usually do when I'm playing duos with somebody, like if one of us die early, I'll just leave. Is that cool?
Yeah,
You down with that rule? All right, cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
I just wanted to see who this last guy was.
That's usually the way.
Where'd you go, buddy? There he is.
Do you get V-Bucks for winning matches? No. You only get V-Bucks for leveling up your
What the
account.
heck is this guy doing? I'm gonna shovel him, dude. Shovel battle.
Are you streaming right now?
Yeah. Come here. What did you do? All right, sorry. I just wanted to. What the heck was that guy doing? What a goofball. All right. Yeah, I'm streaming. I just started it up.
Muscle memory backed me out, so I'll join back up on you.
That's fine. Yeah, no worries. Oh, I got a reward for that. Yeah, I should have clickbaited my title. I got like a 6 KD right now, like my last whatever games it is.
Really?
Yeah. But the slurp juice. Listen, guys.
I'm always a little embarrassed when I go to look at my stats. I'm always disappointed. It's like you average 3 kills a game. It's like sick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Fortnite, the whole #1 player thing, it just goes off like your wins, right? It doesn't matter if you have 0 kills in that win or.
I mean, I don't even know if it's based on anything. I see like 5 streamers at a time, all titling their stuff like #1 top Fortnite.
No, you just gotta put like world's top #1 leaderboard, and then you put like Dyer or like no scope shot.
Grinding, yeah.
Yeah, grinder. #1 leaderboard spot grinding. Then you're safe.
Yeah, I just leave mine at #1 semi-decent sniper.
For a while, it's been my #1 player, and then like I'd put in my house at the end.
Right, that's a classic one. That's a good one.
Yeah, got him.
It always amazes me though, the kids that don't read all the way through the title, and then they get in your stream and they're like, "You're not the #1 player in Fortnite."
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
It's like, how many #1s can there be?
Apparently, like
everybody's #1 streaming right now. This is insane.
Want to go to Greasy?
Yep, I'm down. Oh man, we're going across the map. All right.
Flying.
I gotta do some browsing around those new map spots.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Like, it's 10 new points of interest. Like, that seems like
I just realized they got rid of the Santa bus. When did they do that?
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, it's not Santa bus anymore.
I don't know. I read they were supposed to do that in the new update. Like, yeah, they were gonna get rid of all the winter stuff.
Holy crap! My title's clickbait now. It's the last day of the winter map. Oh man, I'm sorry, guys.
Damn, unsubscribed.
You want to go cheeseburger or?
I'm gonna land on the houses on the left. I'm gonna go to that first brick one.
All right. Probably land in between. Get that chest. Dude, you got down so fast. You're a god.
Nah, I got lucky that time. I always find that like landing is always like it's so important, but the timing is so difficult to get.
Right? Yeah.
Especially because the game doesn't stop you at like the same level point every single time. Depends on like the elevation below you, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
It is. It's a little different. All right. There's a guy over kind of near me on the street corner.
Okay.
He's already got a gun. I can give you some shield pots, like 10.
Nice. Oh yeah, I hear a chest in your building. So you said, is he over in this house over here to your, like, the left one? Oh yeah, I see him on the first floor.
Yeah.
I see a guy across the street. He's going to, like, the hunting place. Here we go. Or he's at the cop car in the middle of the street. He just built. Oh, he's building.
Okay.
Oh, he's going on. He's going for me. Yep. I'm dead.
One knocked. Oh shoot.
Got him.
Nice. Good job, dude. All right.
There's definitely some more. Oh, somebody just broke something over there.
Gotta heal up real fast.
Yeah, yeah.
If you need some shield pods, I can drop you some here.
I got two right here.
Okay. No. Oh, God. Do you really have a shovel? Yeah, it's the best item in the game. Please don't question it. Oh, my God. Someone real close. Wait, is that you? Someone on the other side of this house.
Yeah, but
right in the corner.
Yep, I see him. He's right on the side of the building.
Oh, there's two in the corner. Is there one in the building as well?
I don't think so. Oh, holy God, I just got lasered.
Yeah, I'm shield potting up all the way.
Yep.
I hate that you can't build when there's like a metal object in the way.
I know, right? Yeah, that's apparently they're changing that new update, hopefully. This guy's building behind me. He's up on the roof. Both of them are up on the roof. I don't have any building material.
Knocked one.
Nice.
Nice.
Let's go.
See you later, guys. Woo!
Oh, wait. There we go.
It's not letting me pick up any guns. This is actually triggering. There we go. You need shield pots again?
Yeah, I'm gonna need a couple.
Alright. I think there's a chest in this house. Or whatever this thing is building.
Shoot. I saw something over there. Yeah, I'll take that.
Where the heck is this chest at?
There's one right here. There we go. Full slurp. Let's get it. There's a blue AR in front of the RV. Yeah, my chat just told me there's one in front of the RV.
No, it's SMG, but there's a blue AR over here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The little thing going up to it.
Beautiful. I don't think anybody else landed here.
Yeah, I'm guessing we're good.
I think we're in the clear.
We're stacked, buddy. I can feel a win already.
What's the record for duo kills?
31, I believe. 32.
Damn.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I keep seeing Nick Merckx in my subscription feed breaking every squad kill record.
Yeah,
He's got like 55 now or something. But it's console, so is it really
I'm
legit?
not saying anything, dude. I'm not saying anything. All right, I just think there's a difference between them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Weren't you playing console there for a while?
Yeah, on for COD, yeah. Let me tell you, it is it's a different experience for sure.
What an experience. Was that a good experience or?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helped viewership wise. It just allows you to get into so many more lobbies. You can do more stuff.
Yeah, I feel you on that for sure.
DLC, you know, play with more people because most people don't really
DLC,
play
what's
PC.
it like?
We don't have to wait for PC dev to drop a 2-week free DLC period.
Even then, it's on the struggle. Free DLC, everybody's like, eh.
Everybody's like, sick. I'm gonna go play zombies.
I'm out. Yeah. Single player guy going on here.
Oh. I don't really even know where we're headed right now.
I was just
close to us.
Yeah, running. I think right in the middle of everything here.
Yeah. Oh.
What the heck
We
is
got
he
action.
shooting
I have no idea.
at? What are they?
Oh, are they trying to rocket ride maybe?
Oh my god, I hope they are. Let's go jump in front of the rocket and ride on it instead. Easy.
It's gonna completely down. It's just one guy. Yeah, you know he's trying to rocket ride. They're actually trying to rocket ride. He was actually trying to rocket ride. That's awesome.
Oh, that's so sad, dude. They're just trying to have a little fun, and here we come, dude. Just headshot
We're
him.
try-harding over here.
They're like, oh, we got him. All right.
One of those guys have a sniper? Oh no, that was you. Sniped him.
Yeah, something right in the dome.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. There we go. Are you good at rocket riding or no?
Dude, I don't know. I've never rocket rode in my life.
Every
dude.
time I've tried it with friends, I always either end up getting downed or downing somebody else.
Hey,
So-
let me try to shoot you.
You want to try it?
Shooting you, dude. No. No, I don't want to kill you, dude.
I'm down to try it. I mean.
Oh my sweet baby
Oh,
Jesus.
jeez.
What the heck? Where am I?
I dropped on top of you.
Dang it, dude. Oh well. Very good. Full shield. We're gonna make. Oh dang! You took a lot of damage too.
Yeah. That's the nice thing about taking fall damage though is you don't take any shield off. It's so nice.
Yeah, thank God.
Oh man. Jake Paul is not stupid. Jake Pauler for life. Dennis, that gives me every reason to ban you right now in my chat. You do realize that, right?
Yo, Jake Pauler for life. You a Jake Pauler too?
I'm a low gang dude. I'm a maverick.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. I forgot what his name was.
Can't
Is that
stand
his
those
brother
Pauler.
Jake?
Yeah.
Oh shoot. Yeah, dude.
They're a special breed.
Yeah. Oh, apparently the supply drops aren't presents anymore as well. Well, I mean, that makes sense. I really thought they were getting rid of that tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. So, oh well, look at that. We still have the Christmas bushes.
Yeah,
Christmas
see, it's a little confusing.
Yeah.
I don't really sure what's going on around here.
They're weeding us off the Christmas stuff very slowly.
Yeah.
They don't want to do
Maybe
it all
one
at once.
supply drop would be like a present, the other one would just be like a regular.
The one thing I'm not looking forward to though that I kind of have really come to love is the snowball launcher.
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's so like just the intimidation factor of getting that thrown at you.
I wonder what the next big like update's gonna be. There's shots over here northeast.
Oh yep.
I missed the Halloween one. I didn't start playing until right at the end.
Yeah. I was on for like one game for the launcher. Damn. Yeah, he has no idea we're coming up. He's probably gonna be really weak.
But the quick scope this fool. Nice.
Ooh.
There's a sniper over here if you need one.
Yeah, jump pad.
Another sniper. Double sniper.
Oh yeah. I might actually take the rest of those bandages.
Yeah. If you need a first aid or anything, I got 3.
Okay. Do they have anything? Nah, just do you run with the tack or the pump? Are you a tack or pump guy?
I like to attack, even
Yeah,
though I
same.
find the pump gets me more one shots and stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm just more consistent with the tag. The pump,
Yeah.
if I miss a shot, I feel like the worst player ever. Like, I
Yeah.
don't wait and just getting shot, and I'm just waiting for it to.
It's amazing
redo
though.
his thing.
Every time I watch like console streamers, everyone ADSs with the pump. I'm like, or the tack. I mean, no, the pump. The pump. Yeah, it's so weird because you pump
That's
them
a weird,
both. But
weird
yeah.
situation.
Oh, they got a jump pad right here. Ooh.
I see people southeast. They just got done building. I'm gonna jump pad to them.
Southeast. All right, I'll follow you.
Right over here somewhere.
Oh, yep.
Where'd he go? You got him?
Oh no! Wow, he's a good builder.
I hit him once for 35.
He's running away.
He's dead.
Nice, nice.
Raging Flapjack.
He built so fast that actually worried me. I was like, oh no.
It's your boy. Yeah, when I see people build like really fast, like no, they're done. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm dead. This guy's got a pump.
Right.
Get the triple pump out, dude. He's ready to go.
How much? Do you have any? Do you have a? There's a snowball launcher over here if you want one.
I mean, I really do actually. Where's it at?
It's right in here. Right in the corner, right there. I got ammo for you too.
I got 20 right now.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Drop my shields with pots for that. Scared. I feel like there needs to be like one more slot, dude. Because I got a AR, I got the sniper, shotgun, snowball launcher, and then I need two more slots.
I have to make that decision so often now, especially now since they introduced the mini shields.
Oh my god,
like
yeah.
I find
ridiculous.
myself, yeah. It's like I drop med kits for mini shields just because they're
Yo,
easy to
it's the
apply.
same usually. I usually go the bandage mini shield route.
Yeah. Bandage mini shield, or if they got full potions too, I'll definitely take those.
Oh yeah.
Shoot. We can never get in the safe zone.
I think you have a. Oh, I have an extra jump pad too if we need one.
Okay, perfect. There's a scar there, I think? I don't think so. I didn't see one.
Oh, I thought you picked it up. I have a purple one.
Was there actually one over there?
Was it a gold sniper? Did you pick up some gold?
Yeah, I picked up the gold sniper.
Okay, that's what I saw gold.
I have a blue AR, so hopefully it'll be fine.
It's like 1 damage, I think, less
Yeah.
or something.
I've heard that some people prefer the blue AR over the scar, and I'm like, what? I mean, unless the recoil is different, I don't know.
I'm not really sure how.
Oh,
it
there's
works.
people right up top here. 285. Just one guy. He's got a sniper, kind of doing circles.
You want to take shots at him or no?
Yeah, sure.
We're on wabbits. Oh, supply drop just got open. 330.
Yeah.
Freaking Grand Canyon here.
Yeah, it might be down in the. It's probably gonna be down in the little valley.
You think
Yeah,
so?
I'm gonna get up on top. I think so.
I feel like it's on the other side of this hill to the right.
I'm gonna get on top of this, just in case. Try to get a vantage point on him. Loot right down there. I don't know
It's
where.
gotta be it, right?
Yeah. I imagine so. It's just a boogie bomb and a snowball launcher, though.
Where the heck did this guy go?
Is he sitting in a bush? No?
It's gotta be below us or something. Couldn't have gone too far. We're in the circle. Where the heck does... Oh, I wonder if he's in the shed over here.
Oh, maybe. Want to start lighting it up? Oh, there's a base right there, too, to the northwest, right on top of that hill. I don't know if anybody's
Oh,
seen
yeah, I
it,
see
but
that.
A little something, something.
I don't want to save my rockets.
Do the stealth approach.
You can put one rocket into it if you want. Snowballs aren't really guaranteed destruction zone. What?
Sick. Some strong
stuff.
Strong brick right there. I don't see him in there.
Can I open the door from this? There's a shotgun in there. Yeah, I don't see him either. Where the heck did that gamer go?
He's too good at this game. Yeah, played us all. There's 9 people left. What the heck?
Oh, shoot.
I'm gonna check this base right up here real quick. Just make sure there's nobody in there.
Yeah, let's get in it. I'm down.
We still have that jump pad too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody's gonna be in here. Yeah, nobody here.
Nothing? Nada?
Nada.
The heck is everyone? Well, we know that guy's up there on the hill. I wonder if he's still there.
Right.
Where is this?
What
Where are you
type-
seeing these supply drops? Where are they at?
I just heard it. I hate the sounds for supply drops. They're so disorienting. Like they sound
It's
so
it's
loud
over
and
this
they're
way
always
somewhere, but
so far away. I thought I just heard it drop in the storm.
well, that doesn't happen.
I probably got my headset on backwards. Oh wait, I see the guy up there. 195. Yeah. Yo, if we go up here, do you want to jump head over to him?
Yeah, we can
All right, let's do it.
for sure. Oh, yeah, they're having a fight. All right, let me build up a little bit. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Yeah, he has no idea. Both of them.
There's one he fell down the hill, I think. Oh, he's right here. Nice, good job.
Nice.
All right, they were shooting at someone.
No scars from either one of these guys? Oh, there's more mini shields here. I'm gonna take those. Oh, I think of that base all the way 165. That's my
Yeah,
guess.
they're down. Come on, snowball.
You might that somehow reach. Oh, you're talking about the guys right down there.
Yeah, there's guys down right below us.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, there's a golden snowball launcher. I'm on it. I'm not sure what it does, but I'll take it.
I have a jump pad too. I have another one. Want to use it right here? Jump
Yeah,
out
let's
of
go
it?
for it, dude.
All right.
Oops.
What the heck? Here, I'll
Don't
place
worry
it right
about
here.
it. All good. All right.
Oh,
Which
yeah,
way we
literally right down the ledge right here. We actually don't even need to waste it. Oh, God,
Go
they're right here.
back.
Oh, God. Hiya! I got one. His teammate's right around the corner right here, I'm pretty sure.
What the?
There he is. Hello, good sir.
That guy, dude, I swear, people can hide at like the most random spots. I did not even see that guy. Oh, he's got an RPG? I'm taking that.
Oh, yeah, that was mine. I got the gold one now.
Oh, nice.
Jesus,
Let's go.
do you need ammo for anything? Because I got like...
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty
17 trillion of all
I
of
think
it.
we're good. There's only 2 people up. I don't know where they're at, though.
Oh, yeah, 1v1. Or 2v2.
1v1.
One of been playing too
Only
many
2 people.
solos.
Yeah. Where are these gamers at? Is that our old jump pad? Oh, there's a supply drop. Look where the supply drop is. It was right next to us. It's like on the side of the mountain.
Wait, I still don't see it.
Right here, I'm shooting.
Oh,
I
yeah,
shot at
yeah,
it.
right there. Look at that.
What the heck? I don't want to use a jump pad again.
Yeah, we can go back to the... Yeah, let's go back to this other one. We can probably go back to our original one, too. That one might be even better.
Is it in the zone?
Yeah, I think for... Well, yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it is. Oh, can we make it? Oh, that's actually perfect. Oh, that's a little too perfect. Yeah, we're going to tell people we planned that.
Planned, baby.
I don't see anybody, though.
I'm not seeing any gamers here. I messed up. Right. Da-da-da.
One last hit. Ugh. I have no idea where these guys could be. I'm officially
Whoa, that
lost.
was weird sounding. Tell me it's not a bush over there. Oh, no, I don't think so.
Oh,
Oh.
there we go.
We got some gamers.
Oh, that poor man.
That's just one guy.
Got him. Yep.
He's not a bush over there, is he? No, okay. I'm freaking out, dude.
Can you imagine? I know, right?
Where is this man?
Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Oh,
that
shoot.
shed.
Yo, Maddie, thanks for the raid. I appreciate it. You guys came in at the perfect time. Well,
to see
I
this
mean,
W.
oh, there he is. There he is. He's building right up here. Oh, I thought I was going to get it. Oh, he got so lucky right there. Yo, Maddie, I appreciate that raid. Holy crap, that's a strong raid.
Oh! I hit that snipe!
There's no way. I gotta, hold on. I think I still have your stream open. I gotta see that.
Let's go, dude.
That was nasty.
I think it was a headshot. It made was that the headshot sound, chat?
Yeah, the little ding or whatever.
It's like ding.
That's
Let's
so
go,
satisfying.
dude.
Yo, Maddie, thank you
Our
so much for the
first
raid. I
duo
appreciate
game?
it. And we
A
win
win?
it, honestly. Who
What's
does it
going
better?
on,
Who
dude?
does it better? Who does it better? let me rewind. I gotta see that.
That was crazy. Respect the shot, bro. Respect. Put some respect on it.
Oh, that was nice. 'Twas nice.
GG, buddy.
That is a strong raid. Thank you guys for the raid. I appreciate it. Congrats,
You
Henis,
following
you
100
finally
Thieves
won.
at all?
Only a little bit. I mean, I really only see Nate Shot's posts on Twitter. That's about it.
Yeah.
They just announced something though. What was it? I forget. It was,
They picked up a League of Legends player.
Oh, okay.
Apparently he's really good. I don't really know anything about
Oh,
League
and they
of
had
Legends,
that. Yeah, they had that whole controversy recently too, where like a ton of their players practiced for so long and they couldn't compete, right? Because of like a travel ban or something.
Oh, I have no idea.
Or it was an immigration thing. There was like a ton of players from. I don't know. It didn't
Was that
really
them?
make any sense. I don't think it was League. I don't think it was. I don't remember the exact game, but.
I think they have a CS:GO team and a League team right now.
Yeah, I thought it was a CS:GO team. Hey, what's up, P. Waddy? What's up, gameplay?
With that beard, you look homeless. I don't even have a beard, dude. It's like chicken scratch.
Yeah,
All right, where are we going, bud? Another round of greasy?
I'm down to go to Greasy.
All right.
Not a big
wish-
old-
yeah,
old
like-
Greasy.
Hopefully these new towns added something a little bit more on this left side of the map. Like Pleasant
Yeah.
and Greasy are just so far from everything.
That was one of those things too. It's like they're really stressing how they're like splitting everything into different biomes.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's like, I hope that doesn't mess with the color or anything in the game, because I think the color is really nice. Everything pops. It's
I
easy
think
to
it
see
will.
stuff.
I think it's gonna mess with the color of the grass
I just hope it doesn't make it
and the leaves,
like,
maybe.
hard to spot players.
Oh yeah, I don't think it'll be that bad. Well, I guess we'll find out. Same side.
Yeah. All right, there's like 2 other teams coming here, 3 other teams coming, I think.
Great. Well, there's
Just-
10 teams, more kills for us.
Just some slight work, exactly.
Before we instant die. Some chump.
Somebody's
chump
gonna grab an
work.
RPG and one-shot me right off the bat. Perfect.
Some shields.
Let's save
Graphics,
this.
how change.
How? What?
The English, how speak. Oh my gosh. That's funny.
Wait.
Yeah, I'm hearing everybody going off right now. Like, are these gamers?
Oh, there's a
Okay,
guy right here.
across the
What the
street.
hell? Yep, I missed
Nice,
every
knocked.
shot.
Good, I got lucky with the burst.
Damn, did he just bust out of the wall here?
Yo, gamer, where's your friends? Where's this gamer go? Is he behind the tree? Oh, I hear you.
Damn, Kenny's brutal, relentless.
I was really hoping he had a better AR for me. I hate the burst so much.
Oh, the guy in this building right here, building them in. He's got a shotty.
Okay, I'm a little bit behind you. Wait, he's in the house we're in right now?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's on the 2nd floor. I seen him.
Nice.
Right through the window.
Oh, shotgun, there we go. You big fan of the pistol in this game?
Nah, not really. Oh wait, there's a blue
Really?
AR in here. There's 2 blue ARs in here.
Oh, what the heck is going on? Well, I'm floating. Okay, that was weird.
Here, yeah, there's a blue. Actually, I got a blue AR for you. I'll bring it up right here.
Where the heck are you? Wait, where'd my AR? Oh, okay, I see. All right, thank you, dude. You need shield pots?
Yeah, I do. Perfect.
Just gonna roll down the stairs and follow me down here. I feel like that might have been everybody here. Oh wait, nope, people coming across the street at the gas station.
All right.
Oh, they're building up. They're going on top of it. Crap, I think he saw me. That's such a head glitch on top of that gas station too. Just going up for it.
Oh wait, he has no idea.
He's knocked.
Oh my god! The man
Oh
had a full
my
shield.
God.
Holy lord.
What's going on over here, dude?
Those situations. That's when the pump comes in handy. Yo, Jimmy, thank you for the 2, man. I appreciate it. You saw nothing, chat. Sorry, we nailed every shot there. That's what you call bloom with a shotgun. Nah, I can't. make
Okay, call me an
excuses.
idiot, but what is the bloom? I don't understand what that means.
It's like, I don't know, there's like a whole technical side to it. I guess it's the idea that even when you're shooting directly at your target, the bullets don't go exactly where you're aiming. Like in most games, how like, you know, if you aim somewhere right where your crosshair is,
Yeah.
the bullet will always go right in the middle, right where the dot is. But I guess in
Right, yeah.
Fortnite, there's like RNG within the RNG that like there's a little
Oh yeah, I
circle
just call it RNG.
around the dot. Yeah, it's essentially all that it is.
Wait, someone said launchpad.
People have developed the term bloom. Yeah, I got a launch pad. I picked it up.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so you just call it bloom.
Yeah.
I kind of like RNG better. You know, the RNGesus.
It's definitely more universal. The RNGs.
All right, off we go to find a
Nobody
town.
else here. Yeah.
This is the problem. Like, I love Greasy because there's so much action.
And then you gotta run so far,
but
right?
then there's just nothing else like in the vicinity.
These new POIs are gonna be crazy. Like tomorrow, as soon as that update drops, I don't think there's gonna be anybody in the lobby that doesn't go to one of those new spots.
Oh yeah, for sure. Dude, tomorrow is a record-breaking day. Like, if you're looking to break like a solo kill record,
yeah.
I'll just go. The moon. I was kind of hoping like, and they still might do this in the future, but they add like day-only games or like nighttime-only games because
That'd be cool, yeah.
sometimes I just like playing daytime games. I don't really like the nighttime too much.
I can't wait till they add a sniper-only mode. That's gonna be fantastic.
You think they're gonna do it?
I hope so. I mean, yeah. Well,
That would be pretty cool for sure.
I hope so. I definitely feel like it's one of those classic things that you just got to do, you know? Like they've done the explosives. The only thing I hope that they don't do is I hope they don't pull what H1 did with the shotgun and sniper. Because H1 did something like that and it was awful. Oh, hey, there's a ooh, wow.
Shotgun sniper game.
You can grab that meme pad right there if you want.
Oh, hello there. I'll take it, dude. When the update comes out, UK, just look on their Twitter. I think they have something posted. Something like that.
There's building right here. Don't see anybody.
So we go put a meme pad right at the top of that thing.
You think so? I'm down. I mean,
what we can do up here on this hill.
oh, you're going up there? Oh. I'm over here building a ramp and I'm like,
I was just looking for a high point, like in the map.
let's get it.
Now listen, we can do something.
All right.
It's real risky, but we may be able to get all the way to Anarchy Acres.
You think so?
If I die, remember me.
Tell my mother I love her. Could you imagine if you ran out of material and just stopped? Wait, is that the
Dang it!
is that the limit? Is that the limit?
No. I'm so triggered right now.
I'm scared of heights.
Like, really? Because I
Nah.
kind of low-key am.
In real life, oh, absolutely. In real life, I am 100%.
All right, where are we going?
Want to get a running start?
Dusty?
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess we aim more towards Anarchy, I guess.
All right, let's go.
Let's do it. I doubt we'll be able to make it all. Yeah, we're not going to be able to make it all over there.
No way, we're going to Anarchy.
The dream died real quick.
Yeah, dude. Oh, I'm landing here as a chest. When we go like 10 feet. What a great pad, dude.
Smash cut to 30 seconds ago, and he's like, all right, I got an idea.
Just don't worry, dude. Just nobody worry about what just happened.
That would have been perfect.
Dude, we're about to go to the other side of the map. Blue tack here if you need one.
I got one. Do you have any shotgun ammo though? I only got 7 shots.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, people running southeast?
Yep.
Oh, they went right over that ridge.
Are they gonna be running? Well, are they running towards us? Are they running along the mountain, or are they going?
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna build.
Oh yeah, they saw us. What? I missed a guy.
Holy! I just got lasered. Lord save my soul.
I'm dead. Oh, I hit that guy so
Holy
much,
crap.
dude. Oh, I missed the early snipe on him. I knew they saw us. There's no way. Ah, GG, man.
GG's.
Let's try to land at like what's a good
like
place? I don't know.
Completely
Somewhere where there's a
random
lot
spot.
of towns. Like
Yeah.
retail or something would be good.
Okay. Yeah.
My bad, dude.
It's all good. I looked. So I see that guy. You mentioned they're like, oh yeah, they're here looking over the ledge. I look to my right. The dude's literally got his crosshair right on me. Melted. Obliterated.
Like your beard and stash. Listen, guys. All right. It's been a rough couple of days. Okay, I got like food poisoning from Taco Hell.
Did you really?
I don't need to hear this. I don't know. I think I did.
Food poisoning.
Thankfully, I didn't eat too much of it. But yeah, I was like yesterday. I like slept all day yesterday. I felt so bad. I like woke up. I streamed my like daily Minecraft stream, and then I just went back to sleep.
Henry, we're playing H1 later, okay? No, we're definitely not playing H1 later.
You still play a game?
No, I haven't played it in months.
I tried to play it. I got like 2 games, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go play COD.
They changed the recoil, right, or something? They like.
Dude, I literally have only played like twice in my life.
Are we going to salty?
Yeah, salty.
Let's get it.
Taco Hell sounds nice. It's a real treat. Nothing better than a little bit of dog food in a tortilla.
Someone spits in your burrito.
Oh god. I'm going to the brick house all the way 15.
Okay. I'm gonna go to the L1 right next to it. Ooh. You know it's gonna be a good game when you get a slip juice right off the bat. Oh really? Hold on, I'm coming over. Oh, there's a guy.
The guy went upstairs. I don't know if he didn't see me or whatever, but yeah, I'm down here in your house. Oh, guys, a guy down here with a pump. Knocked him.
Nice, nice.
You got a gun?
Yeah, yeah.
You want a shotgun?
Yeah, sure. Got the good old trusty SMG.
Oh, okay. Might as well just use the pump.
Yeah, pretty much. Ooh. Actually, yo, hold on. You need these. These are all for you.
Thanks, dude.
Gotcha. So you landed at this brick one? Oh, wait a minute. There's a dude running down right here.
Yep.
Yep, 2-1 shots from ProHenis right there. His teammate's right behind him, too. Did he have a scar? Are you serious?
Oh my god. Wait, how many people are here? Hold on a minute. What the heck? You're shooting at a guy. There's a guy back there. There's another one behind him. And then there's a guy at the brick house.
Yeah, baby, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go for the brick house here first. Got the guy at brick house?
I tagged this guy. Not this guy's dead.
Give me your weapon, god damn it! I had to pickaxe him. Oh, his teammate's coming. I hear his teammate.
I'm coming back. Where are you?
Right outside the house right here. His teammate's in there.
Alright, I'll push him. I have a lot of health.
I should say somebody's in there.
Are you sure? Oh yeah, there he is. Oh, grenade!
Oh my.
That guy's dead.
Absolutely melted.
I don't think those grenades
Wait,
are
there's another guy.
There's another one. Oh my.
Holy god.
Hello? Okay. Who else is here?
There's another green AR here if you want one.
I got a scar.
Oh, you got a scar? Oh.
Yeah, the guy shooting at you had one. Anybody else in this house?
Ooh, mini potions.
Is that you building?
Yeah.
I feel like there's one more team here. I don't know where they're at, but I can smell them.
Fortnite sense.
Oh yeah, they're here.
They smell tasty. Mm. Oh, wait. Here's something in this house. I have no
sure,
idea.
dude?
I think so. Unless I was just hearing you.
Might have been me.
What on earth?
I think we're clear, dude.
I think I do have my headset on backwards.
Turn that thing around, buddy.
One of these days, something I say will make sense.
People building 15.
Just gotta wait for the brainwaves to clear.
This should be a challenge, dude. Just upload it as headset on backwards challenge.
Dude, that'd be unbelievably disorienting.
Yeah. Oh, a guy
yeah,
just shot over here to the left.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna throw a nade into this the attic of this building. Oh, he's right here. I mean, he's running away. I'm just gonna get up on the roof. Make slight work of some fools.
Another one in the shed. I'm gonna let you kill him. Nice. Beautiful.
Let's get it. Teamwork makes the dream work.
You got any AR ammo?
Yeah, I got 97. I'll drop you half.
What the? I was wondering who kept taking all my AR ammo.
Oh, whoa, whoa, is that you?
Yeah, watch out, watch out, watch out. They're throwing grenades. Just kidding.
Oh my.
Oh,
I got played by my own teammate.
My bad. I'm a troll at heart.
That's right. I respect it. It's one of the things that, like, I don't know. How would you feel if they added, proximity chat in this game? Like,
That'd be cool.
You could run up on other players. The only thing that I worry about
cool
is
to like walk up behind a bush and be like, "Hey,"
just like
scare the crap out of him.
It's like, this is your conscience.
Dude, I was playing with Preston one day, and we walked up behind this bush, and we just started dancing on him. And like, I don't know if he had his headset off or whatever, but he did not turn around. That was on some next level stuff.
Yeah, we're about to run out of the safe zone.
Dude, the shovel's god tier. It breaks faster.
Pay to win.
It really is.
Bet. So you're telling me you don't think this tooth one looks cool? This like mammoth tooth?
I was just trolling. I didn't even know what one you had. What a guess. No, I think it does look really cool. I think it looks pretty freaking neat, dude. I need to bind my my flat walls.
Yeah, that's helped me. That's helped me a ton. Just like in those really big building situations where somebody just throws up like an entire fortress in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's just nice to throw it like a enclosure around yourself and then throw that roof right up above. Helps so much.
Yeah.
Then heal up, pop a couple of shield potions or whatever. That's saved me in countless gunfights now.
Oh, shoot.
There's probably not going to be anybody else than whatever the hell that is.
Retail?
Yeah.
Trying to think where people might be coming from. Tomato Town, probably not too many. Anarchy.
Might still be some people in Salty or heading to Salty now.
Yeah, we can head back to Salty.
Mini shields at the tower? What? Chat, I swear, if you're
Oh, I think there actually were. Back where we killed that one guy.
Oh, at the, now I know what to talk about. Yeah, yeah. There's nades
Shoot,
over
I
there.
forgot about that. I thought I saw him too. I think they're outside to the left of it or something. Oh yeah, there are some. Good call, chat.
Look at that. You guys are useful.
Here, I can drop you one.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you want one?
I thought we would have saw a lot more people coming from retail.
Yeah. Or at least some more people in Salty. I mean, face like.
I feel like Salty had a lot of people, but I feel like they did. Oh, there's somebody in Salty right now.
Yep, yep, yep.
He's got a scar.
Shield. Yeah. Hit him 3 times.
I didn't hit him at all.
Wait, I'm getting shot at. Right on the street. Oh, hit him. Yeah, headshot, nice.
His teammate was sniping.
Oh, he's right here. He's in the bathroom. What the heck? Yo, what's up, dude?
Wait, there's more, there's more. I knocked that one. There's another guy coming. Ooh. Nice, good job, dude. There's a team of 3. That's insane. I always thought we were playing duos. What are the odds?
Oh, wait a minute. This guy's still up.
Wait, what?
This guy's still up.
What guy?
This guy over here.
Where's his teammate?
I think he's up there. I think he's up top in that cypress nest area. I just heard shots up there.
What the heck is going on around here? I missed on so much loot back there. We found retail. Hello?
Oh, wait a minute. I need to heal up.
What the heck? Yeah, you have like no health.
Do you have a make it? I think you
Yep, there you go. I'm gonna go back down. Oh, wait, I see him. He's running 165. Hit him once. 35 shield.
Got him.
Twice. Nice.
Ooh.
There's some more loot in town I want to go through real fast. That one first guy.
That's the headshot dink I like.
Ding!
Oh, are
when
you
it's
kidding?
when you shoot him in the head, it's like a party popper sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure, dude. Do you have a scar?
No, I don't. Is there one down there?
Yeah, there's one by me.
Oh, boy. Christmas came early. Oh, you're all the way over there.
Yeah.
Yo, what's good, Higgsy? How you doing, man? beautiful.
Alright, I'm gonna go look at that guy you sniped.
Alright.
If he's got a sniper for me.
Oh, yeah, we gotta head over there anyways.
Yes, sir. Can you use your campfire? I mean, it's kind of pointless now. We're both full health.
Oh, guys right here behind you.
Hello?
Right, this tree right here.
What the heck? Knocked. Double headshot. That's unlucky for that guy.
He's at the tree. I'm sure.
Okay. Oh, he's got a sniper for me. Hit him once.
Oh, he's right here.
Nice. Good job, dude. Oh, hello, Shirley. I don't even need to loot that other guy now. What are the odds?
Oh, he's got mini potions. I could use some of the. Oh, guy right here. 150.
Alright, ready? Double snipe.
Oh my
Nice.
god. Yeah, we're both trash.
Hit his shield. Hit his shield again.
Yep,
Hit
yep,
his...
got him.
Okay, nice.
Teammate's gotta be around here somewhere, I'm guessing.
I hear some mini shields.
Okay. Oh.
Oh, yep. Where are you at, you little rascal? Where the heck? Did I get shot in the back or?
Oh wait, we're not in the safe zone. Oh no.
Where'd I get shot from?
I don't know. Like, yeah, I heard the shot. It was to our left, right?
Yeah, he was shooting at me. It was really close.
It's probably in the storm now.
I thought it was that guy's teammate or something. Da-da-da. Please don't snipe me from the storm.
Oh, this guy straight in front of us. Could be running at the trees, 210.
Alright, I'm not gonna be able to see anything.
Come on! You can make it! Oh, I lost 2 health. Guy right at the tree right there. Just peeked out, shooting at us.
Hit him twice. Hit him again. He's like one shot. Okay, he's knocked.
Nice.
I was like, he's one shot.
Oh, his teammates RPGing or snowball launching. Right back there.
Get it.
I'm shielding up.
Hit him once. Oh, I'm low. I'm low.
Got him.
Nice job, dude. Whew. Oh my god, dude.
Man, we got 16 kills right now. All right. We can get the 20. We can get the
We're
20.
destroying these boys. Guy behind me, real close.
Oh, shoot.
So
Wait, there's a guy behind me, too. Yeah, there's a guy behind me. Oh, shoot.
Please don't come down here, buddy. Oh my god, are you snowballing over here? I'm so close to heal. I'm so close. No, it's 1 HP away.
No.
Oh, he snowballed me. I'm dead. Carry it on, dude.
No.
Bro, I was half a second from healing. Oh my gosh. You got this.
Snowball's right at my feet. You gotta be
Jazzy Jonesy. Oh my gosh. I'm so tilted. Can't believe that, man.
His teammate was such a scrub, too.
He was not that good. I just whiffed everything.
Rip in the chat. Feels sad.
I just want to say, you said 16 kills and we died. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. I jinxed it. That was my fault. 100%. I'll take full responsibility for that.
Nah, I choked it. I shouldn't even went down. I thought he was below me because it sounded so close, but he was on the roof, like right in front of me.
Of course he kills us both with snowball launchers. It's too funny.
Dang it, dude.
Best weapon for
No
close range
campfire.
engagements. Chat's like, use the campfire now.
The campfire. Just sit there for a good 30 seconds.
I should have downed his
50
teammate
HP.
just to piss him off. That's what I should have done.
What's wrong with these tires over here, bro? Ah,
What was that? That was only second game though, right? Or was that third game?
that was third game?
I think so, yeah.
Son of a gun, dude.
Damn, the bus
I
keeps
like
lining
that
us right up
salty
for
land, though.
Greasy Grove. Yeah, that was good. I'm down to go back there.
A lot of action there.
Tell Kenworth I said hi. Felipe says hi.
What up, Felipe?
That's a dope name. If I ever have a kid, I'm gonna name him Felipe.
The name of mine Alexander the Great. That's gonna be his first name.
He'll be loved by many.
Yes. Can we have Alexander the Great to the front of the class, please?
Time for his
Well, I
presentation.
guess we can, teacher.
Oh, sick. Gave me a scoped AR. I like that. Is that you in my house?
Yeah, there's also some enemies.
All right. Oh, shoot.
Okay, that guy had a pump.
Did you get him?
Give me that pump. I'm out of here. Oh my god, you scared the crap out of me. I almost peed. We're good. Oh my god, I can't freaking breathe. Sorry if you hear me like trying to breathe out of my nose.
That's all good.
Possible.
There's guys.
Just over here, like-
There's a guy building on the mountainside over here. I'm pretty sure.
I thought I heard that guy's teammate.
There was a guy in this building right over here too. This house.
Bro, you got any bandages?
Ah, no, I don't have any.
Alright, let's just kill everyone and take their stuff then.
This guy's in here.
Hello, sir. Where are you?
He's on the first floor. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he just ran out. He's out back. Yeah, he just built.
Oh god, dude. How do I get outside?
Oh, Lord.
Oh, you got him. GG. I'm gonna go hide now.
I'd be lying if I... Oh, coast clear. All right.
Cool, dude.
I'd be lying if I said that was a smooth kill. Not even close.
Having 10 health is like the scariest thing in life,
Yeah.
honestly.
There was a guy that went over here. He might be over this house right over here. I think he built up. Somebody built up into that sniper tower
Yeah.
or whatever.
Oh, got a guy from town. Please don't. I have 10 HP. Have a heart.
Hit him twice. He's
His
super
teammate's
weak.
there. I'm trying to get behind him. Oh, one saw me.
Oh, they're getting shot at too. They're getting shot at.
I knocked one. I got
He's
shot
right,
in the back.
he's right in the
somewhere.
middle of the street.
Oh, there's guys up on the hillside.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh shoot, I need to back up, dude.
There we go. Knocked him down.
Nice job. I have no ranged weapon and 5 HP.
Here, do you want a? You don't have any
This is
range
all
weapon?
you. I have 5 SMG bullets.
Oh, okay. I just dropped an SMG. Oh, he's building up. Where's RPG me? Got him.
Alright, where's his buddy at?
Oh my god. Oh, I thought it was gonna nail
Oh,
it.
nice shot.
Oh,
Nice, I killed him down low.
Good work. There's a potion here somewhere. Oh, there's a jump pad.
How the heck am I alive? Any bandages?
Yeah, there's some down there.
That's all I want in life is just a bandage.
I got an
Okay.
RPG. Do you want an RPG or a snowball launcher?
Whatever one you don't want. Okay.
I'll take the RPG.
Oh god, please don't point that at me. Bro, it's so scary. Just waiting for you to misclick and I'm just dead.
Oh man. Alright, chances this guy put a oh no, the whole house has been blown out. Jesus. There's nothing here anymore. The back wall's open. Oh, I got a med kit here for you too, actually.
Well, I'm good.
That might have been helpful before you used it.
You got a campfire by chance? Chilling down yonder.
I got a meme pad. That's about it.
That'll work. Next best thing.
I'm actually, I feel so stupid wasting the med. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna give this to you.
Oh, that's fine. You take the medkit, I'll take the bandages.
Okay.
I have a lot of shields, so. Hopefully be alright. Alright, get on ammo.
I bet we just go back up this way.
Oh, actually, I'm gonna go. Did you grab the pistol in here?
No, I didn't.
I'll grab that thing.
Yeah, let's check it up here.
Foster gang, Foster gang, Foster gang. $10 sign on a new
What the hell?
chains.
Can build it there. Yo, Bill Foster, thank you very much for the 2, man. Foster gang. Appreciate it, man. Let's get a Foster spam in the chat.
Boy Foster out here making gains.
Making plays.
La-da. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like there's some kind of sound glitch. I like heard you running on the roof, but I heard grass at the same time.
Really?
So confused. I'm losing my mind, dude. Maybe my headset's on backwards too.
The footsteps in this game always confuse me.
I feel like they're just delayed for some reason or something.
My God. You will not believe what I just found. I'll give you 3 guesses.
Golden sniper. I saw it.
Oh, that's not fair. Yeah. Oh, there's chest in here too.
Another golden sniper just for me? What are the odds?
Can you imagine? Oh, rip. I'll go check this house over here.
Wait, there's another chest?
Yeah, I hear one in here.
Are you on a bush?
Oh no, absolutely not. The visuals on
mean,
that
dude?
are horrible.
What do you mean?
Have you put one on?
Yeah, I hate it.
They're so frustrating.
Doesn't even tell me there's a green AR here, dude. I'm sitting with a common, dude. Looking like a commoner.
Oh, there was
okay.
wait, there's a green AR in there?
No, there wasn't. I was just messing with you.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
I definitely don't have one right now. Hey, man, if only there's a green AR in this shed. You know what I mean? Like,
What kind of
if
luck?
only.
What kind of luck would that be?
There's nothing in here.
I'm liking the colors on my loadout right now. If only I had a blue AR.
What was your rocket, gold or something?
Now my rocket's blue. I got the gold sniper though.
Just rocking the full blue. Oh, building. Wait, was that building? No, I think that was just a border coming in.
And you're gonna hear the delay catching up. Green AR from my chat. You missed the green AR.
Hey, you blind?
Somebody typed that in my chat the other day. They were just like, Henis, I genuinely think you're blind. I was like, you know what, man? You're probably
Our
right.
minds focus on so much at once. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm about to get hit by the border. I'm out of here. I'm over it.
That's why it helps to have a few hundred people watching.
Right? Completely agree.
Extra eyes. Did you know they banned killing teammates? They didn't ban it. They just disabled it.
Yeah.
Disabled friendly fire. I don't know. I kind of think that's a smart move. To be honest. Too many trolls out there
I think it
nowadays.
Yeah, too many trolls, man. Exactly.
Have you tried randoming or
There's
just?
shield pot down here.
I got slurp juice. Have you tried like going into a duo, just random?
Yes, I got a Spanish guy one time. We
Really?
couldn't speak the same language, but we got second place.
I find it to be a miracle when I get
Here,
somebody
right
with
here.
a mic.
Take this. You need it.
Oh yeah.
If you keep pointing. Oh wait, you can't come with the rocket. Never mind. That thing makes me panic. Oh, dude, look, a freaking rocket right here.
Hey, that's mine. We got a jump pad still too. How much building material? Oh wait. Oh,
Not
that
very
was
much.
you. Oh, okay. I heard the wood getting built. I was like, somebody's building up to us.
Someone close. I hope the end of the game's exciting.
Yeah, right? We've gone through every single POI in this game. We found 3 teams. Did you know they were actually banning people for that, apparently? Because I guess you can, like, glitch yourself if you run through
Did you see? I was just swinging on it.
Did you just swing on it?
No,
How do
you
you
can
do
get
it?
banned because the NA cheat detects it as like a fly hack or something.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, you can actually get on it though. Hurry, do it real fast. Think of the
Trying to.
title.
Oh, we just twisted it.
You can still get on it, dude.
Yeah, think of the title. Thinking like a YouTuber. Oh!
There I go. Look.
Oh my god. What the
Dude,
hell?
you're getting banned. You're getting banned, dude. You're done.
No.
You're done.
Oh no.
That is a cool feature.
I
So
swear,
the
chat.
NA cheat picks that up, but
It was a complete accident. I did not mean to do that.
how did I get on this swing?
See that? If you clicked on this video and you were expecting to see a fly hack, you got it.
Got him.
Well, we still have a ways to go to the safe zone.
Yeah.
Safe zone keeps running away from us.
Probably shouldn't use my. There's somebody building over there. It looks like they got a jump pad. North 15.
You want to go use it? They got one? No, actually, no, they don't have one up
we
there.
have to
We
go. I don't know
Yeah.
what they were doing though. Did they like fall off or something?
can, a little bit of sightseeing. I don't blame him. It's a nice day.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day, dude. Sun's out, guns out.
Imagine a battle royale in real life. Be horrifying.
Oh my god.
Hunger Games. Oh. Yeah, we're close to the station. I vote we go for that.
Hold on, let me get the chest.
Alright. See, we
I'm
got
dropping my snowball launcher. You want my rockets?
Yeah, sure.
Alright.
Oh my. What we got going on?
Action going on.
What we got going over here? Oh, Henis choked. Oh, guy coming right out here, 75.
Am I blind?
There's a guy shooting from behind us too.
Okay.
Did you drop your rockets yet, or no?
No, I'm gonna drop right here. Oh, I don't have any. They were inside the actual thing itself.
Oh, okay.
Get a shield.
We gotta watch out because I'm pretty sure this guy's behind us too. Oop, shoot. Hit him.
Yeah.
He is unbelievably weak, like nothing I've ever seen before.
I hit him again.
Yeah, they're all
Hit him
about to get
again.
trapped
Oh
in
my
this
god.
storm.
I hit dude. I hit somebody.
Oh shoot!
Oh shoot, behind us. Holy RNG.
Bloom? Bloom,
Yeah,
is that you?
Bloom, I'm bloomed. I'm freaking bloomed out here. Those guys are gonna be pushing behind us, I think.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this actually kind of hurts a little bit.
Hey, I'm gonna leave the RPG. It was fun while it lasted. Wait a minute, is that a blue AR? Oh, good thing I spotted that, or else my chat would have never let me live that down.
I feel like I'm dead once I get in the zone.
Oh god. It's taken two. If only I had a med kit.
Do you have a med kit?
I do, yeah.
Before you take like 10 fall damage
Oh
and
shoot.
die.
Can you imagine how funny that'd be? You see me just jumping right out of the storm. Somebody's building something right there to the northeast.
Oh yeah. Come to Papa. They gotta be healing. You have that rocket launcher?
No, I don't. I dropped it in the storm. Oh wait,
You dropped the rocket launcher?
I had to pick up the med kit. Oh wait, they're fighting somebody. They're just...
Oh, I missed. All your base belong to us.
Wanna go up to it?
Oh yeah. I'm down.
High octane, high energy only.
One jumped out, one jumped out. Oh my god, this path. Oh. What is this? You're by yourself for a second?
Yep. Got him.
Nice.
One pumped him. Ooh.
Put him to rest.
Purple tack is my reward. I will take that. Do you need any, no, you got shield.
Yeah, I'm good on the shield.
Heard shooting over here, sort of more towards Wailing Woods, I think. There was a shot over here. Was there a scar over there? Or anything better than a blue AR?
Blue AR.
Oh, okay.
Can you watch your back? Oh, way behind.
I heard you turn around in your seat.
Look.
I heard your microphone like go out a little bit.
You got a campfire on you by chance?
I do actually, yeah.
Do you? Oh, dude, put that thing. Well, I mean, you're kind of full health. It'd be pointless for you.
You want a jump pad? Oh, no, let's not use the jump pad now. We'll save it.
We might need to. Are we shrinking right now?
Yeah, we can outrun this one though.
Okay. If you say so, Doc. Whatever you say, Doc.
Oh, they're shooting down.
It'd be cool if you got like XP for shooting it down. Try to take the last shot on it.
That'd be cool.
And there it goes.
Shouldn't take damage here, right?
Nope.
The classic final line before you die in every solo. I won't take damage from this fall, right? I'll be okay.
Let's go further. Oh, there's only 2 teams left.
Oh, yeah.
No one shut the thing down. Oh, hello.
There's a lot of building over in Fatal. Or is that Anarchy? That's Anarchy.
Oh yeah, I see him building right now.
Oh, yep, straight ahead.
I saw a guy west at this little shack too. Oh yeah, there are guys. Ooh, I didn't take a shot yet.
Yeah, let's be a little
They're running
stealthy.
past. Oh, is that the shed? Ooh,
Oh, it's so
shed?
tempting.
I know, right? I'm just like looking at
He's
it.
running
Like,
around in circles. He had to have seen us, right?
I don't know, dude. I kind of want to rock, or I want an RPG in there. You think they're in there?
They gotta be, yeah. Yeah, I think I see. No, I can't tell. I'm not sure. Oh, yep. Take that as a yes.
That guy's behind you.
Yes.
Don't do it! I hit him in the head for 10 damage. Oh God. I was so nervous.
That was
Let's not die.
perfectly executed, perfectly planned.
Yo, where's that fire thingy?
What
We
fire
need the
thing?
campfire.
Oh, yeah. Here, I'll put that
I need
down.
it in my life, dude.
Here, actually, let me just put this right here. Wait. Wrong thing, Henis. There we go. Perfect. Wait, where'd my jump pad go? Jump pad? No!
What do you mean?
Wait,
You just had it in your inventory.
Did you pick it up? Yeah, I know. I had to drag it out, though, because I had to put down the campfire.
I picked it up. Here you go.
Oh. My heart skipped a beat. My baby.
Hello, is anybody here? All right, one of those other guys are at Anarchy. Do you got any shield?
I just got 4 mini potions. Oh, yeah.
Can I have some?
Yeah, you can just take all of them. What the hell? I feel like I'm peeking out like a little gopher over here. Anybody here?
All right, I'm going.
Oh,
Oh, they're
they're
jump
padding.
padding.
Yeah. Want to go jump pad in there? Oh, they're just jumping up. They're looking for us. Yeah, they know we're here.
Do they?
Yeah. Oh, they definitely do. Oh God. My whole chat spamming. There's a scar. I gotta go back and check for it.
There's no scar. I looked.
There's not. You sure?
They're lying to you. No.
Oh no, there is.
I said no.
Wow. Who can I trust anymore?
What else is in there? Oh, golden pistol.
I can't edit any of that because this isn't mine.
We're just gonna push in, dude. How do we play this?
Think so? Or do you want to actually?
I feel like if we jump pad, they're gonna shoot us just out of the sky.
You think so?
Yeah, they seem like decent players.
Yeah.
We just push in, dude.
I guess
YOLO.
so. Just YOLO it. The only thing we gotta worry about is their jump pad use.
Yeah.
I love building and falling through my own building.
Oh my god, I have so much brick. Hello? Does this not work anymore?
What the hell? Oh. Holy god, I'm over here building a 1x1 and Kenny's over there building a fortress.
If only we had an RPG.
I got one.
Shoot the bottom of their base out.
Lighten it up. Oh, they fell down? Yeah, they're on top of the barn right now. Oh, I hit one? I hit his whole
Nice.
shield off. Did him for 100 damage. Oh, I heard that one. Ooh. We got this, we got this.
How much brick do they have?
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna run out of RPG.
Yo, one ran out to the right.
Okay, you want to jump pad to him?
Yeah, if you want to.
Let's do it. Here, I'll just
I
build
don't
it
know.
right
I feel like we're gonna die, but I'm down. Where'd you put it? Right there?
Yeah.
Oh god. Okay.
Yes, he is. His teammate just jumped out. Let's go for this guy that's on the roof right here. Ah, shoot.
Nice. He's
Nice,
knocked.
got him. Yeah, his teammate's gonna be around here somewhere. Oh, I hear him. Oh, God, no, he got me. He's got a pump. You got it, Kenny.
No, the headshot did 18 damage.
Oh.
Let's go, baby. Bro, headshot 18 damage.
Oh,
I'm panicking.
God.
I'm panicking, dude.
I hit him for a little bit and then, God,
I didn't see him jump out. I
just got
missed it.
dropped.
Let's go, dude.
How many kills you got?
Whew. I only had 7.
I had 6.
Let's go. Dude, I was so scared. I hear the ding and I see 18 pop up. I'm like, I'm dead. This guy's got the triple pump strategy.
Oh, it's
GG,
devastating.
dude.
I'm down for like one more because I got food waiting downstairs.
Yeah, I feel you, dude. My heart's beating at 1,000 miles an hour right now.
Need to calm down.
The hell's my heart was pumping? Yo, mine too, dude.
Oh man, how many wins you got today? I think I had one solo, I think, and then is that our second duo win? Second duo
Yeah,
win?
second one today.
Almost like 3 wins today. I did a stream earlier today, and I played like I can't even lie when I had like 4 or 5 top 10 finishes, and I choked every single one.
Yeah, sometimes sometimes those days just happen.
Just one of those days.
Just one of them days.
Oh god, it's already 8 p.m. What the heck?
That's early, dude.
I woke up 2 hours ago.
True.
My schedule's been hectic as hell because I'm in the process. I'm trying to find a new place.
Yeah.
So, I'm like touring places, being like, you know, I could afford this, but do I need it?
Dude, get something that's like literally 500 square feet.
Yeah, no, right. You don't need a whole lot of space, right?
Exactly. Like if I lived by myself, I'd get like literally the smallest house.
My biggest concern though is noise. Like I don't want to be, because like obviously the obvious choice is an apartment, right? But if I'm like recording or streaming at like 4 a.m., I don't want to be pissing people off, you know?
Yeah, yep. I feel you.
So then the only really good alternative to that is a house, but then we're paying more. Yeah.
What is this place?
This is just factory.
Oh, okay.
It's got good loot.
You're gonna loot 1 million people?
Yeah, because you live with your girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you guys just have a house together, obviously, I would imagine.
Yeah, we have a house.
You're not living in like an apartment unit or whatever.
Nope. I don't think, like you said, I don't think I could. Because she's a night shifter and I'm usually up at night. It just wouldn't work.
Right.
We'd get kicked out so fast. Well, I got a lot of ammo if you ever find a gun.
This guy just got a post. Are you kidding me? All right, well. Best of luck. We got ourselves a pump. That's all we need.
I got some rockets too. Is there any guns here?
I got a blue AR.
Oh, it's over, dude.
And a potion. Yep. GG's. You just end the game
and
now.
a potion.
What am I hearing?
People going crazy.
What? On what planet are you not dead? That's what I thought.
Where's he at? It's my friend you're shooting, bud.
I just saw you like pop right in the door. Like, what's happening?
Let me at him.
Amazing. Oh, I hear him. He's on my side.
Well, hello. He's dead.
Nice.
You need a shotgun?
No, I got one. Do you need any bandages?
Nah, not yet.
Not yet, he says.
There will be a day and a time. Today is not the time. But I'm back. Ooh, hello there, beautiful.
What was that attack? Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah, I just got a gold scar and a gold sniper in one room.
No, you didn't. You're
No,
definitely
I didn't. Hello, hello.
Want to make the push over to Salty, I guess?
You want to go salty or retail? Either one.
Let's go
Retail's
retail.
closer.
Yep. Don't
What
take
time
damage.
central does the map come out? I'm not really sure, guys. I forgot the times. I think it's like 6 a.m., maybe 7 a.m.
I don't even know what day it is.
Where am I? You missed an AR? That's a lie. I have one in my inventory right now. I need you chat to stop. Oh, green arrow over here.
Oh, there's a guy. Yeah, I got a blue one. There's a dude. What's he doing?
Taking a nap?
I think he's doing something. May have to blur this. I don't know. He's just on top of the platform over here. That first like sort of black top
they are. I'm right in the forehead. Where's he at?
Oh, there's a guy running across the street too.
Oh, they're dead. Where are they at? Let me.
Oh, there's a. Ooh.
Oh, he's on top of Taco.
Oh.
Del Taco.
I just got a scoped AR too.
Oh, dude, like snipe some kids.
Not gonna lie, the headshot sound you get with a scoped AR is very satisfying.
Is it different?
Well, it's just like it's a little bit different because usually, you know, if you get a headshot with a sniper, usually it's just a one shot. So it's weird, like when the guy doesn't die, it's like it makes a slightly different noise, I think, because it's also like a flush hit and not just a. Hello.
Bro, how's it not hitting?
Oh, he's got a scar. Yeah, I just got hit by him. He's going for you. Guy.
Bro, how was that not hitting? Okay, one more game. That one doesn't count, dude. The scope AR can suck my butt, dude. Honestly, this thing's so bad. It's so bad. It's so garbage.
They're apparently changing the whole scope for the next update.
Yeah. What they need to do is just get rid of the gun, honestly. At this point,
it used to be super OP from what I hear, but yeah, it's
I fucking hate that thing, dude.
garbage.
Chat, you guys didn't see any of that, okay? I will literally Men in Black erase your brains. Ready? It's happening.
You one of those little tools.
Yep. You guys saw nothing.
No, guys, Kenny is not triggered.
I'm not triggered.
Can you?
I've been triggered my whole life. Got my car stolen.
I'm the opposite.
Triggered.
Wasn't. Broke into my house, stole my TV. Not mad. I didn't even want the TV anyway.
Yeah. Some guy lit my house on fire. I was inside. I didn't get mad. I never get triggered. What happened? Exactly. Saw what? Listen, guys. I appreciate it. My brain feels bade. Scoped AR is amazing. Listen, maybe on console. Not on here.
Ooh. Called out. Called
Where are we going?
out. Let's go to let's go to retail. Go to retail.
So salty? I'm just kidding. All right.
It's the
If I
new...
get a scoped AR, I'd rather die than pick that thing up. I'm
I've
never touching it again.
had more success, and this is not a lie, hip firing with a scoped AR than ADSing with it.
Bro, it's like the bullets don't exist. You get like 3 shots. It's like, oh, this is sick, and then they just stop. They just stop working. Whatever. I'm not triggered.
Unbelievable.
Get 21 kills, both of you. All right, easy. I mean, why didn't you just ask us for that earlier?
Whoa, wait, that's what we're doing? We're trying to get wins?
Oh, wait, we're playing to win. Who knew?
That changes everything. Oh, I see you rocking the Cloud Strike glider
I love
down
this
there.
thing, dude. It's cool.
It's the best one so far. 100%, not even close. I'm looking at this blacktop right here, this first one.
Blacktop. Oh.
Yeah, like the blacktop
yeah,
over here. I'm so close though.
Yeah, right. So close. Right.
Love the
Are you
light at
dead?
the beginning of games. Nah, I'm good. I just
There's another guy on the other blacktop roof.
glitched to the floor. Ooh, I got a potion. It's all over. I mean, that's what we said last game, so never mind. I shouldn't say anything. Kill them all just for you, Landon. Love your name.
Yeah, like there's still Christmas trees. They just changed the bus. Well, whatever.
Not fans of Santa. Could never be me.
Oh, there's another chest here. Oh, scoped there. No, throw it away. Get out of here.
Did you actually get one?
Yeah. I left it. It's a blue one. It's just chilling at the tree. Not a chance in
We'll use it as
double
bait.
HE hockey sticks. I'm picking that thing back up.
Oh, I got a blue AR. I
I
got a
should use it
regular
as bait, dude.
gray AR if you want to use it.
Shoot. I got a burst. I mean, I'd rather die than use this, but that's fine.
Up to you. No, I got a blue one, so I can drop you a gray one if you want it.
Sure. Like a little bunny rabbit dropping his eggs.
Is that all I am to you?
Egg dropper? Yeah.
What I heard? Was that you who naded?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, hey, howdy, how you doing? Oh my god, guess what I just found? Scoped AR, best gun in the game.
There's a guy with a scar out front.
Holy lord! Yep, I just got...
You're dead!
Let him know. Let him
he
know.
had 2 scars. Come grab one over here.
Really? Really?
Really? See a guy back here by the semi. I'm getting a shot from someone else as well.
I'm gonna go rush this guy right here. Hello, my good sir.
Oh, yeah, shield? This is the same guy. Where's his buddy?
Oh, wait a minute. Oh,
His
there he
buddy's
is.
dead.
Yep, there's guys middle of the street too, middle of the street. Pushing us, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I see one. Let him out. He's got a shield. Running towards you.
Come on, gun. Come on, gun.
Yeah, I got him.
Holy Jesus. Oh my god.
Oh, I got one new potion here.
Wait, yeah. Okay, never mind, you're good. I didn't know if you needed a slurper.
Anything else in here? Nah, I think we're good. Easy
Who
work.
else wants some?
Not even close, chat.
You guys think we were dying or something, chat? Because we're not. I have a training desktop. Should I download? What does that even? What training desktop? What the?
You're that rich.
Is that even English?
You got a desktop to train with?
Like a gym? I'm so confused by that. Oh, there's something over there. What is he? I'm going for it.
What is that?
You see that shine?
Is that a boot? Yeah. Oh, no, never mind. My graphics are just so low.
Bro, that's a shotgun.
That's the PC life. Yeah, no, that's what I thought it was too. I was just making sure you guys were all paying attention. Definitely knew that wasn't a bush.
Is this house looted? Yeah, it was. I just forgot that back there. I feel like there's some more people in here.
Probably.
I don't know though. It'd be weird if there were still people down here.
Hallelujah.
What the? Oh. Oh, another scar.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, look at this, dude. Just for me? Wow, what are the odds?
Do you need another? Oh, God, I just got melted. Lord save me.
Dude, there's potions over there. Look at those potions.
Oh, yo, it's true. I don't want to get sniped again though. Imagine if I went back for him.
Did you actually want the snowball thing back? For some. Oh, I see where he's at too. He's 30 on top of a hill. Do you have a sniper?
Nah.
Hey, you quit bullying us.
My dad works at Epic Games.
I'll have you banned. You back up now. Don't come snap around here no more. Alright, I'm gonna push this fool.
Alright, yeah. I'll sit back and use
you, boy.
I'll sit back and use you as bait.
Alright, deal. Honestly, okay with it.
I took the most inefficient route out of that house. No big
Bro,
deal.
you ain't even about to see what's gonna happen. Is he still up there? Watch this.
I think so.
You're dead. Get snowballed.
He's more to your left, I'm pretty sure. Then again, what do I know?
Hello, is he here? I think he left, dude.
I think so.
I don't know where the heck he went.
Oh.
I feel like he's. Oh,
You see him?
oh, 105. There's someone. I don't know if that's the same guy.
Oh. Okay.
Oh yeah, his teammate's over there. I see him. He's head
Alright.
glitching.
Explosives inbound. Where's the teammate? Nice. Got
Oh,
one down.
nice.
Hey. That's what I'm talking
Let's
about.
go, dude. I just wasted every rocket I had, but it was worth it, dude.
Ooh.
I see that gold sniper. I'm just gonna act like I didn't even see it, dude. Honestly.
Do you not like the semi-autos?
No, I just figured you were picking it up, so I was just like, nope, didn't even see it.
Okay. Oh, I can use those. They're...
Oh yeah, here, take it.
Nom, 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 nom.
What else? Ooh, blue AR.
Today's your 6th month? Your 6th month of what, Marcus?
6 months, dude. Today's 6 months.
Six
6 months since I started counting that 1 month.
6 months into my life. Yeah, I'm 6 months old. Welcome to the stream. Make sure you subscribe. Only child-friendly content here.
Only 6-month-old.
We cater to people of all ages. What would that tier be? That's
I
like
don't think I've ever been here. What the heck? What is this?
this is the abandoned
RV
circus. Yeah.
Is it really the abandoned circus? Is that what it's
I
called?
have no idea.
The heck?
Not really called anything.
Sniper ammo
like
and
that.
stuff.
Yeah, there's sometimes some decent loot. Actually, right up top here, sometimes there's actually some really good stuff.
Yeah, I think I hear a chest over there.
Yeah. Just one. Just got some bandages.
Sick.
Do you have, wait, do you want rock with a purple pistol?
Yeah, I'll take it. Why not?
You must come up and grab it.
Oh, crap.
There's something up there? No, I don't think so.
Are you...
Everything right over here?
Got it! No
Wait a minute.
worries.
I'm
dude.
all. Oh, I'm literally all out of everything except wood.
Whoa, what the? Okay. You know what? What's that? You smell that, dude? That was
No,
like
what?
a.
What's
That
that?
was like a victory.
Oh. Well, I'm getting a little bit of it now. Yeah, so
Yeah,
in
you
this area right up here?
Oh yeah, right around. Oh yeah.
Oh, I
This
get it
is
strong now. Yeah.
Smell that, dude.
Smells
I
like
gotta stop sitting on my foot. It's Gonna be bad for my body.
Smells like medium rare ribeye steak. Oh, there's people. One guy right up here, 195, running
Oh, I'll
along.
kill him. Where's he at?
Can you imagine?
I literally didn't even see him.
It's this.
Another guy building over here.
It's so funny. The largest. Yeah. Oh man. Oh wait a minute. Okay.
Bro, I headshot. Did you shoot the guy at the?
Yeah, he was just standing there. I headshot him. That was the guy I headshot.
Nice. Let's go, double headshot.
He's just standing there.
He's like, man, I'll tell you what, it's a pretty cool spot right here.
And Billy, come up here. You won't believe the view.
Billy!
Oh god. RPG inbound.
I killed his friend. No friends for you.
Oh, I was like, wait a second.
Is he in the shed?
I don't know. No, he's over here, I think. Wait.
Where?
No, I'm still dumb.
Is he below me? Mama?
You come out right now. Do I have a jump pad? I don't think so.
Okay, seriously? Did we kill this guy?
I don't even know.
Because, like,
Oh,
there's loot right here. You see it down here?
Yeah, there's loot over here, too. Well, I'm check this little structure. If you're
Yeah, there
camping
was a
in
guy over there, but I feel like he came back here.
You're camping in here, I swear to God, it'll be the last thing you ever do.
I don't think he's over there, dude.
Alright, well, it's official. We've been bamboozled.
This guy's a god.
I don't take that sort of thing lightly.
Oh, I found him! He's in a bush! Come here, sucker! I just randomly shot the bush. I was like, maybe he's in there. Oh, how does it feel?
That's clutch. I'm gonna get this drop right here.
That guy was a straight freaking wizard. Holy moly. What do you got for me? Nothing?
He was about to get away with it, too.
Yeah, he was. We were about to leave.
Oh,
What the
wait a
heck?
minute, wait a minute. I've never done this before. Hold on, hold on.
Are you inside of it?
Definitely.
Dude, I'll let you sit there. I'll let you know if anybody's coming.
Alright, alright. Can I swap weapons? Yeah, I can. What? Dude, the POV in here is so weird. Oh, wait a minute. I'm on the outside. Bro, I think a little part of my body is sticking outside the chest. I didn't... Wait a minute. I'm not
What?
perfectly in the thing. A little part of
think
me
you're-
is sticking out.
I can't really see you, dude.
I mean, I'm on the storm side, though, so, like, nobody will be running up to this side. More than like...
Bro, you gotta crouch, dude.
Is that a guy?
You gotta
over there?
crouch.
I am crouched.
What? No, you're not.
Yes, I am. On my screen, I am.
I wish I had a scoped AR right now. Oh god, there's two guys over here. 15.
Oh, I gotta break out of it.
They're at 15. Oh, they were shooting.
Wait, they're shooting at me? Oh, those were guys over there. What the hell?
That one of them's super low, dude.
Well, I gotta drink this potion here real quick. Then I'll be right with you. Please hold. Your call is very important to us.
Knocked one.
He'll rue the day.
Can you just die? Oh my god. How many times do I have to shoot this fool?
Hiya!
Oh my god. I'm so sorry.
That would have been too perfect.
Dang it, dude. I think they saw you in the supply drop, but I think they were just like healing. Because like they were looking over there, but they weren't doing anything about it.
They felt bad for me. Oh, look at this stupid little kid.
Like, hey, this guy doesn't know that we know that he's in there, so let's let him know that we don't know that that we know.
Imagine missing
Holy.
the...
Did you get anything good from that?
I got a slurp. There's a golden grenade launcher over here.
I'm on it.
Oh, wait, there's guys right up here, right to the west. Right where we just were at that sniper's nest.
Oh yeah, so me jump down.
Yep. I just took the grenade launcher.
Oh, I'm not crouched. I'm dead. I did not see the second guy.
He's gonna snipe me.
I mean, I'm in a good spot, so just play for yourself. One to the left, and then you got that guy building up.
Oh, sick building, Henis.
You got
Do
this.
you even
dude.
know
You got
where I
full
am,
shield.
dude?
Clutch up, bud.
Oh, sick building, Henis, for real. Okay. Yep.
Just don't stand still. The guy's got a sniper. One of them's right in front of where I'm at, underneath the brick stairs. Aw, shoot.
What the hell is this building? I'm all out of material. Yeah, I'm all out. I'm dead. He's got a head made of steel.
Oh, GG. That sucks.
He had
dude.
1 HP. He had 1 HP. Oh god, you can't make that up.
Ah, dang it, dude. I did not see the other guy.
That could have gone better.
Yeah. If I wasn't blind. If I had eyeballs, dude.
As soon as I heard that little teammate drop sound, I was like, oh well.
Well, it was a good game.
This will be
I'm
good.
just saying, dude. I felt like you had the clutch.
I thought I
I
was
could
gonna
smell it, dude.
I almost had. I had a little bit of confidence in myself. Apparently not enough. I had a purple tag too. I thought I was gonna laser him.
That sucks.
Well,
Unfortunate.
I think the only conclusion we can draw there is that they were definitely hacking.
Yeah, I already reported both of them.
Yep.
We'll see. I'm banned, dude.
Such a shame to see that many people hacking a game like this, especially right before an
Like-
update. Epic Games, you really got to fix that. It's just disappointing.
All right, dude.
Disappointing.
GG's.
GG's, man.
Thanks for
Yo,
playing.
I found it. So you still sit in Discords when you talk to people, but you just use Telegram to message people?
Yeah, I hate Discord messaging.
Oh, okay. Because I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, the
Oh,
first time we go to play, I look at my
laughing on your
Telegram,
stream.
and I see you
You're
link
like,
me a Discord.
Discord, get out of here. You're
I'm
like,
like,
let me
wait
close
a-
Discord real fast. And then you're
like,
like,
wait a
I'm like, hey,
second.
Discord.
Like, you gotta be kidding me.
All right, man. Well,
I just sent you a friend
GG's.
request on Discord
I'll
too.
play a couple solo games. Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know how to check those.
Best of luck.
Yeah, see you, man.
See ya. All right, ladies and gentlemen, GG's. GG's. I almost did this, didn't I? I just did that for my outro. Like I was doing my outro there, but I'm definitely not doing my outro. I'm just so used to doing that at the end of a game. All right, guys. I think what I'm gonna go do right now, I'm gonna go ahead and raid. Who we want to raid? Who's up right now? Who's up right now? We can go. Actually, guys, I think I know who we're gonna raid. You guys ready for this? You guys ready for this? You guys know who we're gonna raid? We're gonna raid. You guys ever heard of TBNR Kenworth? TBNR Kenny? I'm gonna link his stream in the chat. If you guys have never heard of him, I highly advise you guys go over to his stream, all right? Show the man some love, okay? He's currently streaming some Fortnite right now.
You guys feel special? Nice, dude. Yeah, I mean, I really only play this game if I'm streaming. I don't really play off stream too much.
You guys should go over to his stream
Sugarcane Farm, I guess,
and just
20
spam the
minutes.
hashtag Henis Raid, all right? Show the man some love. I would really appreciate it. Oop, what the hell did I just do? Go check him out, guys. Hashtag Henis Raid. Show the man some love. I would really, really appreciate it.
Unbelievable.
Definitely deserves
Building
it.
a sugarcane farm. That takes priority over Fortnite.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm actually triggered. Who was that, Kenny? That was ProHenis, guys. If you want to go follow him, that's literally his name on YouTube, ProHenis.
That's me.
I feel like my FPS is dying. I'm moving this over here.
Hashtag Henis Raid in the chat, guys. Kenny, we like Henis. Go play with him. Hey. Hey-o.
Kenny, we
Hashtag
Henis
Henis Raid in the chat.
Yeah, he's really, really chill guy. I actually I've been watching his streams a lot recently. If you guys, go follow him though. ProHenis on YouTube. Very easy to find. There's not really anybody with the same kind of name.
I'm gonna shed a tear.
Speaking of Henis, we got the Henis raid, dude. Yo, Henis, if you're actually here, let me know so I can mod you in the chat. Although I think you're already modded. if I remember
Hello.
correctly. I'm
Nah, I'm
sure
not
though.
mod yet.
Yo,
Oh,
thank
you know what I'm
guys
gonna
for
do?
the raid.
We're gonna hit him with the sponsor.
boys.
We're hit him with the sponsor. Yeet. Hold on, I'm gonna sponsor real quick.
Only got 2 today. We need more. I need more. Nice, and it's daytime as well. Do I go retail? Yeah, why not? Make it happen.
He's too gorgeous. Too gorgeous. I like his sponsor badge a lot, by the way. Kenny's logo.
The
Kenny's logo is nice.
Yeah, sorry if you guys are getting timed out. I gotta get rid of Nightbot, dude. Honestly, he does more bad than good. Oh, there he is right there. There he is, stream. The man himself. I think you can just click his name and it'll take you to his channel. I think that's how it works.
Is that still the link? All right, good. All right, guys, I'm gonna keep posting this link in the chat. Go over there.
Appreciate it, dude.
Show him some love, guys. I would really appreciate it.
Watch you in Preston's videos. Hey, appreciate it, dude. He's not modded. Oh, crap. Well, I can't minimize right now, like in the middle of the danger zone.
All right, guys. I'm
thank you.
gonna head out though. Appreciate it. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you all very much for coming out to the stream. I really do appreciate it. You guys were dope. I'm gonna be doing a stream tomorrow morning for sure. When the update drops, we're gonna be playing a lot of Fortnite. Probably doing a lot of solos. Yeah, probably doing a lot of solos. But we'll probably end up doing some duos or squads sometime later in the stream. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream. Smack a like on it if you did. Make sure you guys are subscribed if you're new. We got 3 hours into the stream today. So that's a total of 5 hours worth of streams today. That's pretty dope. Make sure you guys go check him out, though, if you haven't done so already. TBNR Kenworth. Linking him in the stream right now. Make sure you guys go show him some love. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until next time, everybody, keep gaming. And as always, stay cool. Adios.